them. It was thanks to this guy that shin protection made its way over to football. Meet Samuel Widdowson. He was a cricketer and a footballer. He played for Nottingham Forest back in the late 1800s, and he wanted a way to protect his legs from nasty tackles. Apparently, he'd broken his leg in a match against Sheffield United in 1874 and wanted to stop it from happening again. Naturally, his mind drifted to his other favourite sport, where players had been wearing these pads. Story goes, Widdowson cut up his cricket pads, sewed them into his socks and popped them on before taking to the footy pitch. Ta-da! Shin pads. Like all great genius inventors, everyone took the mickey at first. To be fair, he probably looked quite stupid running around with these on. But it's thought his whole Nottingham Forest team then began wearing them from 1887, and the first known use of them in a match was in 1894, in a match between Newcastle and the then Woolwich Arsenal. Eventually, FIFA clocked on that this protection was pretty important for footballers. Multiple studies have shown wearing shin pads clearly reduces the risk of players getting lower leg injuries. And so in 1990, basically 100 years after Widdowson first put them on, shin pads were made compulsory. It became a part of Law 4 of IFAB. That's the body responsible for setting the laws of the game internationally. But the law doesn't actually specify anything about measurements of shin pads. It just says pads must be made of a suitable material and be of an appropriate size to provide reasonable protection. It's really vague, and players can get away with a lot. A lot of grassroots clubs are choosing to ban micro shin pads for obvious reasons though, especially after a 15-year-old player from Penistone Church broke his leg while wearing them. Still no change from IFAB though. That's why Grealish and co can still get away with these ones, which are no bigger than a credit card and which seem to offer little to no protection whatsoever.
Good evening. It is day 3 of the Commonwealth Games, and the pool takes centre stage once more for 9 finals. Australia are certainly the team to beat in the swimming, but the home nations have chances this evening to become champions. We'll keep you up to date with everything that happens there. It's also a day for individual medals in the gymnastics, with the all-around women's event well underway now. And for the first time in these games, weightlifting podium finishes are up for grabs. Now, as ever, throughout this event, Olympic and Commonwealth gold medalist Greg Rutherford is alongside me, and I'm glad you got the memo to wear brown. We are wearing our chocolate brown, which I think is very appropriate for a Sunday.
Including the legs, actually.
You are.
I'm all out today.
You really have.
Also, I'm in Alan Pardew's seat, and I'm really confused why the arms are so high, so I'm trying to figure that out.
Oh, okay. We'll work that out in the break for you, perhaps.
Here we are.
But yeah, he obviously quite likes to be posture.
Yes, I think it is. Maybe I should learn it. That's better.
You'll ease into it. What we don't want is cramp. We don't want cramp again.
I tell you what, I brought coconut water with me today, just in case, because a little bit of sort of natural electrolytes, no cramps. So I'm told.
See, this is the gems you can pass on to our listeners.
To be honest, that was actually a listener that messaged in, was saying, get yourself some coconut water. Yeah, there we are.
Oh, well, I'm glad that they're teaching you something. As I mentioned, lots of action to come in the pool. Really interesting. I was just watching some of the footage that's coming into us here in the studio that I'm sure those who might be watching aren't privy to, is seeing that there is another pool where they can effectively warm up.
Yeah.
Sounds a bit weird in a pool that you're warming. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I saw one of the swimmers had flippers on.
Do you know what? I saw this for the first time when I first covered swimming and Olympic Games in 2021 in Tokyo. I was there in Tokyo on the ground, and I was for the broadcast that I was working with. I was covering swimming, and I was so confused when I looked across. But they're in the main pool by this point as well. I was like, they've got flippers on, they've got flotations and snorkels. And we talked yesterday about in-ear communication with your coach, and I was thinking, if you're allowed to snorkel and flippers, then there's some level of cheating going on here, which is somehow slipping through. But of course, they're not allowed to compete in it. But it is interesting, isn't it? All the little quirks of getting yourself ready for
I just don't
competition like
see
that.
why you'd want to have flippers, because that's obviously aiding you.
Yeah.
And then you can't use them. So why would you want to have something that helps you as you're preparing for something? But when it comes to the main event, you can't have them. I find that bizarre.
I don't really know what that could give. I mean, look, it's going to warm you up. Maybe it's easier to move faster. I don't know. Molly would
But
probably
it's like
know.
having springs on your...
Yeah.
What would you call you?
Spikes.
Spikes.
Yes.
I wasn't sure what to call them for a moment. It was like having springs when you're just warming up, but you then have to take them off.
Yeah,
when you do your jump.
it'd be awful, wouldn't it, actually? That would be...
just a bit odd.
Maybe we should just bring the springs in anyway. That'd be interesting for the jumps.
Well, that's maybe for the enhanced games.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Where does that end? That's...
Indeed. But look, it's been another interesting day already at the Commonwealth Games, in particular in the men's gymnastics all around, in the individual, because there was delight for Reuben Ward, who became Commonwealth champion, becoming Scotland's first ever gold medalist in the event. And as you can imagine, in that arena, with a predominantly Scottish home support, I imagine that would have just erupted when it was confirmed.
I was watching it all earlier, and it was just brilliant. Like, everything about it. And then the interviews afterwards and everything that was going on around it. But it's the scores and actually what was going on. It was such a good battle because the Canadian athlete, Felix Dolce, as well, he had a bit of a mare in his second event, but came back so strong, he closed it down to 0.2 or 200 in the last event. Wow. So it was almost as if Reuben could have been overtaken. And to have that level of pressure going on around you as well. Basically, if the pommel would have gone better for Felix Dolce, he would have been Commonwealth gold medalist without question, because some of the scores, I wrote them down earlier, some of the scores are out of this world, finishing with a high bar of 14.500. I mean, like, remarkably high. So a brilliant competition. But then seeing just the way Reuben reacted and how excited he was. And he was talking about how years before he'd watched Dan Keating's in 2014 in obviously the same competition in Glasgow, and dreamt as a 9-year-old at that point, which makes me feel very old, as that was my last Commonwealth Games as well. A 9-year-old dreaming of one day putting on the Scottish vest, just putting on the vest.
Yes.
Not even considering at that point coming away as a Commonwealth gold medalist. And everything about what he was saying was just utterly brilliant. But there was a really interesting thing. He spoke to Niall Wilson as well, who's working out there, and they'd been talking about manifestation and how it was something that he'd for the last year in particular, where he'd used that, he'd constantly been sort of seeing that as the outcome about coming away and winning. And it's something that I hugely use during my career and have a massive amount of belief within it. Okay. I was sort of talking about when I became Olympic champion in 2012, I'd already become Olympic champion 1,000 times in my mind before, because what I used to do every single day after training, I'd go home, I'd walk my 2 Labradors as I had at that point, and I would walk around the woods behind my house, and I would commentate on my own Olympic final. This is long before it took place. Oh. Every single time I would win. The outcome would be different, but I was the only thing that was the same, me winning it. And I really do believe once you start telling your mind you can do things, it means things like the nervous energy, the stress that comes with it. They're things that you can deal with better, because if you've got yourself ready for any eventuality, anything that could possibly happen, then when you actually goes out there, no matter what does happen, you can deal with it. And I think that was brilliant that you were saying that's worked for him so well over the last year. Niall being somebody who had won the same event for Team England in 2018, somebody who I think is mentoring him and having these sort of deeper conversations. But it really is a powerful tool, I think. And a lot of athletes do use it, and it's clearly worked again for him.
Listen, whatever works for the individual is the only way you can approach these things. And as you say, I think a lot of people now believe in manifesting something, whether it's a gold medal or whether it's, I don't know, manifesting the job that you want or the life that you want. A lot of people do it, and I don't think it's something to be looked down upon these days.
No, and I think, again, because when you do think about it constantly and you are, again, creating scenarios, etc., you start thinking about how to get there. It's not just about going out, I've tried to manifest winning the lottery a few times, but that's not quite happened.
You know what?
Weirdly.
I do that as well.
It's really
do you think
weird.
Too many of us are doing it.
That's the problem.
So just confusion out there.
We're countering, so nobody actually can do it. No, but it is an amazing thing. I think, as I say, when you are constantly thinking, so if it is a job, for example, it doesn't have to be about sport. If you're going for a job, then you're considering all the different ways of getting that job and getting to either that qualified level or having the ability in order to do it. And that's why I think it is such an important tool for absolutely anybody to use. And I say it as well for youngsters. I think it is a great thing to start really training your brain in that way. Really think, if you're involved in sport in particular, it is a great thing to really think about goals that you want to achieve each year. And really thinking about that and doing what you can to achieve them.
Well, do you know, I mentioned the weightlifting, and unfortunately for Kieran Stiles, who was competing for England in the men's 65 kilogram category, he wasn't able to medal in that. But there was a point in his sort of career, if you like, where he thought, I'm not sure I can do this anymore. He contemplated quitting, but he decided to set himself a daily reminder on his phone that would go off at 11 a.m. and it would simply say Commonwealth Games 2026, and that was just all he needed to just re-engage every day. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. So he got to the Commonwealth Games. He qualified for it, remained dedicated enough to do it. Unfortunately, as I say, wasn't able to come away with a medal, but still can tick off that he did the Commonwealth Games.
And that's exactly it. And it is often having those little markers where you think, okay, training's tough, or I don't feel up for it for today, and actually just having something like an alarm like that will go off each day. And you suddenly go, do you know what? No, this is my goal. This is what I want to achieve. And it can remind you, because it is tough. Like, for all of these athletes, and we've touched on it quite a few times, for a lot of these athletes at the Commonwealth Games, nobody's ever seen them on TV before. Nobody's heard of many of the athletes that are going out there and competing. And this is their sort of moment. But for the training years that they put into it, sometimes it is the dark early starts, the really difficult times. You don't feel well. Often, if you don't feel particularly up for it and you can take a day off work, it doesn't really work like that on sport. You have to learn to become resilient and push through that. And that's something that sometimes you need, those little reminders, just a little thing saying, this is why you're doing it. You want to go out there. You want to have these moments where you can potentially stand on a podium or just have your opportunity to compete for your country. Yeah. And as I say, some things like that I think are very useful.
And what I also think is really unique, again, on the Commonwealth Games alone, is the fact that, of course, you compete for Great Britain when it comes to the bigger events, but there are so many, and so many are proud to do that. But of course, at these Commonwealth Games, you're representing your own country, which will be England. And when we're talking about the home nations, of course, with Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, for example. And it's so rare that any of those, Scotland, Wales, maybe, when it comes to the sort of the athletes I'm talking about, not football, because we're more used to that, but to hear the national anthem of those nations, which you don't hear as often on the athletic sort of field.
Absolutely. I mean, the Commonwealth Games is really the only time you'd compete for England. There was the odd match which would get put up here and there, and I don't really think they happen as often as they used to. So for myself, I think I maybe did one junior match when I wore an England vest, I think maybe once, but apart from that, it was always the Commonwealth Games. So if you weren't at the Commonwealth Games or were injured, some people never get an opportunity to compete for England as well, or as you say, any of the home nations. And it is a really special thing. It's different. And it is that all of a sudden you are competing against some of your mates that you would be on training camps for, say, an Olympics, or even just on the circuit. You're around these athletes a lot, but now you're competing against them. So they go from your mates to your rival. It's great. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I can only imagine how that is bizarre in some ways. We're actually going to hear from Ruben Ward a little bit later on after winning that gold for Scotland then in the men's all-around individual gymnastics. But a gold has already been won in the pool. So let's find out which way or who has won that with Molly Renshaw and Joe Shannon.
Yes, Natalie, good evening. Welcome to the Tollcross International Swimming Centre, and congratulations to Alice Ty of England, who has won the women's S9 100-metre backstroke gold for the third Games in succession. A storied career, 7 times a Paralympic medalist, 3 times a Paralympic champion. Glasgow, her third Commonwealth Games. And as I say, she has won gold with a time of 1 minute 11.93 seconds. Bronze goes to Victoria Belando-Nicholson of Australia, and Gemma Selick, also of Australia, takes the silver. But it's England's Alice Ty, Molly, who is going to be grabbing the headlines after a fantastic swim.
Absolutely, and I think as we expected from Alice, a class performance, slightly off her best, but still well ahead of the rest of the field. I think the two Aussies in second and third both picked up PBs there, but not quite enough to catch Alice.
So Alice Tai is the gold medalist, Natalie, and it is all happening in the pool here in the Tollcross area of Glasgow tonight. They are getting ready as we speak for the men's S9 100-metre backstroke final. That underway shortly.
Brilliant, Molly and Joe, thank you very much. So, England strike first in the pool. How interesting. That, though, is the 22nd medals that Australia have won in the pool alone. But it's a first gold of the evening going the way of England. Alice Tai then winning that one for an 11th in the pool for England. So a good start for them. Plenty more medal opportunities to come. We'll keep you updated on everything. And we'll also keep you across what's happening elsewhere with the weightlifting taking place. There's boxing as well. And we're going to be joined by the 2024 Olympic boxing bronze medalist, Lewis Richardson, a little later on to find out what he's made of all of the action in the ring. And former England netball head coach Jess Thirlby will also be with us as the Roses, they were comfortably beaten by Australia earlier today. You're tuning into the Commonwealth Games on talkSPORT with BYD. Dare to dream with BYD and the Commonwealth Games.
Jack Grealish.
Yep.
Also going to be back at Man City.
Yep.
Next season.
It'd be interesting to see what happens with Jack if he's given a chance by Maresca, because he would have been part of that Man City squad that Maresca was at. Or will the manager think, no? And will Jack think, you know what, maybe I want to move on? I think it's still early doors. I think we have to see what happens over the next 6 weeks. You know, still 6 weeks left of the transfer window. Start of September, it closes. I don't see him staying there. I see him moving on. It wouldn't surprise me if he moves somewhere else in Europe. I don't see him staying in the Premier League. So I think he's still got 1 year left, I think, of his contract. So the wages as well, will that be a problem for some of the clubs?
Welcome to Commonwealth Games kick-off this Sunday evening. It's day 3 of these games and there's plenty going on this very evening. We've got lots of pool action, but there's also gymnastics to keep you right across in what is the all-around women's individual medal event. So let's check in this evening for the very first time with Charlotte Richardson.
Good evening, Natalie. Good evening, Greg. After a fantastic day of gymnastics yesterday, today has certainly followed suit, bringing even more drama, close scores and some breathtaking skill across all of the apparatus. Ruben Ward won gold for Scotland earlier, and now our attention turns to the women's individual all-round event. England, Scotland and Wales well represented, and we've seen the gymnasts begin on the vault before executing routines on the bars. And I was so impressed by 17-year-old Sinead Eve Amankwa, who performed with such maturity and confidence to help England secure bronze last night in the team event. She's off to a steady start, but unfortunately the same can't be said for Abby Martin. She lost momentum at the top of the uneven bars and looked so disappointed as she scored 10.950. This sport is so brutal that when it comes down to the scoring, that unfortunately could be Martin's medal hopes dashed.
Charlotte, thank you very much. More updates to come then from the arena for that one. We mentioned Ruben Ward then, who won gold for Team Scotland in the men's equivalent of the all-around individual title. And I said we'd hear from him. Well, this is his conversation with Michael Waydock.
Ruben, can you begin to sum up the last couple of hours, both in terms of competition and then, importantly, celebration?
I can try and sum it up. To sum up, the competition was stress, excitement, pride. Yeah, I mean, I think those are the first 3 words that come to mind. The celebration was just, I think the very first one was relief, because there was, I mean, Felix went up last on high bar and absolutely did one of the best high bar routines I've ever seen. So that was stressful. I thought he might have taken it, but to see the final score, to see me in first, was spectacular. And then to celebrate with the crowd, because they're cheering, I'm cheering, all my team is around me, just jumping up and down, shouting in my ear, so happy for me. It's just such a special moment, and I mean, running around the crowd with everyone putting their hands down, to get a high five was like, it just feels so surreal that this is happening to me. I mean, I believed that it would happen. I believed that I could do it, but to see it come to life is almost like a bit of disbelief, but I'm just so happy.
And you're the first Scottish man to do this. You've made some history, and
yeah,
it's clearly emotional for you too.
It is. I can't believe I've not dropped a tear yet, to be honest. Actually, I did drop one when I was walking out, because it sank in for like a second. I was like, right, okay, I've got to get my head back on. It's just overwhelming. I mean, to come from the disappointment on Friday, to know that I had this all-round final, to know I could do well, but then to do this well, this successful, it couldn't have gone any better. It's cherry on top. It's like, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Is this beyond your wildest dreams, or did you wake up this morning thinking, I could be here in this moment with this gold medal?
This is very much one of the dreams I've had many a time. I mean, I believed I could do this. I mean, someone asked me, like, I don't know, 4 months ago, it's like, you're going to be Commonwealth champion in 4 months. I'd have said, I probably believe you, because I did believe that I could do that. And that was something I just took with me, and I feel like it showed in my performance, just trying to be confident and live in the moment and, yeah, just make it happen. It was just, something I've worked on a lot, confidence and just keeping my head in the right place throughout an all-round competition, which is just taking it one piece at a time. And that was something I did today, and I'm grateful I did.
You have another couple of competitions still to go, but apparently Tuesday night is the big night out for you. Once you're done.
Yeah, so because I've got a competition tomorrow and Tuesday, I've got to keep it pretty mellow. Won't be going out, won't be drinking or anything, but I've not had a drink in a long time, just in prep for this competition, and I believe that's paid off because I'm feeling better than I ever have. But yeah, Tuesday for in Glasgow, shout me, I'm outside.
Shout me, I love that. We look forward to those celebrations, that's for sure. Let's take you straight back to the pool, because we've had a result in the men's S9 100-metre backstroke. Plus, there's also the women's 100-metre breaststroke final that's about to happen as well. So let's hear once more from Molly Renshaw and Joe Shannon.
Yes, Natalie, it's congratulations to Tim Hodge, the favourite from Australia, who's picked up the gold medal in the men's S9 100-metre backstroke final. 3 medals at each of the last 3 Commonwealth Games for him now. Barry McClements of Northern Ireland, a history maker in 2022 at Birmingham, takes the silver, with Harrison Vig of Australia in the bronze medal position. So Tim Hodge takes gold, Barry McClements the silver, and Harrison Vig finishing third and collecting the bronze medal. And now the focus here at the pool moves to the women's 100-metre breaststroke final. This, Molly, is highly anticipated.
Absolutely. Very excited to see what Angrid Evans in lane 4 can do here. She's definitely a fan favourite, and she received a great reception there from the crowd. So hopefully she can use this down the first 50 and bring it home gold for Scotland.
Yes, good noise from the crowd here at the pool, the Tollcross International Swimming Centre. Lots of Scotland shirts are on, and we are moments away from getting off and underway. Evans is perhaps the one to watch in lane 4. Rebecca Medder in lane 1, Corbett in lane 2, the South Africans, Tui of Australia in 3, Evans in 4, Kenny of South Africa in lane 5 as the race begins. And all eyes for the home crowd are certainly on Angharad Evans, who has made a relatively decent start. It looks as though Rebecca Medder in the far side of the pool, lane 1, has the advantage at the moment, but Angharad Evans is starting to up the ante. So too Amy Kenny of South Africa in lane 5 as they approach the end of the first 50 metres, and now they just get to the very edge of the turn, and it is Kenny in lane 5 leading the way halfway through here, Molly.
Great start from Kenny, and over in lane 1 the South African Rebecca Medder, but Angrid Evans has a great back 50. She's a very strong 200 swimmer, so expect to wind her in down this last 25.
And she is catching up here, Angharad Evans, with less than 25 metres to go. This is going to be very close here. The crowd are roaring her on. Is it going to be Evans? Is it going to be Kenny? Or can somebody else emerge from the chasing pack? Evans maybe just has the edge. This is very, very tight indeed. Angharad Evans of Scotland takes the gold. Amy Kenny of South Africa is second and will take the silver medal, and it's bronze for Sienna Tui of Australia. What excitement, and the crowd, the home crowd here in Scotland, delighted with the result.
Absolutely. I think Ingrid knew that the crowd would bring her home there, but awesome swim. She hit the wall in a 1:06.07, so slightly slower than her semi-final time, but like we said earlier in this meet, the time is irrelevant. It's about who can get their hand on the wall first, and she did exactly that.
Absolutely, with Amy Canny finishing 0.12 seconds behind her in the silver medal position, and Sienna Tui in the bronze medal position. It is congratulations, Natalie, much to the delight of the Scottish crowd, to Angharad Evans, who takes the gold in the women's 100-metre breaststroke final here in Glasgow.
Brilliant, Joe and Molly, as always. Thank you very much for that. A first medal in the pool then for Scotland tonight, and it's no better than a gold, which is absolutely marvellous to start proceedings. Angharad Evans then, who is the British champion and pulled off her best personal best in April. So really coming into these games in great form, and she's added a gold to the tally for Scotland once more. More action to come from the pool on what is a very, very busy evening here on Commonwealth Games Kickoff.
If it is true, that is the one for Tottenham, the one that got away. If you think about what Abramovich did to Chelsea, did to Premier League football, did to world football, he was a benefactor.
He turned you into a
monster. Yeah, he turned us into a monster.
Yeah, he did, because you wasn't a big club before him. It was an average size club.
I mean, we certainly, if you want to do this, which I don't suggest you should, but if you want to do this, in the 10 years prior to Abramovich, Chelsea won more than you've won in the Premier League era.
Up the shells.
In the 10 years.
Honestly, you and Cundy.
In the 10 years, because you can't let it go. You say one thing and I just
one thing. Like, I literally just said one thing and that was it. Like, bang, I got the fishing rod out.
Yeah. In the 10 years
prior to a big one.
Yeah, this is day 3 of the Commonwealth Games, and the action in the pool just continues to come thick and fast for you. We'll be bringing you the men's 100-metre butterfly final in just a moment, with, of course, 8 going for the title, and just a couple of names really to look out for from the home nation's perspective. Edward Mildred is in there, as is Jacob Peters. They're both representing England, and Lewis Fraser is in there for the Welsh team as well. Josh Luendo is a name to look out for. He's the Canadian swimmer. He is the defending champion and comes into this one after the second fastest semi-final qualifying time. So certainly a name to look out for. But it's been a mixed sort of bag of results when you look at the gold medals, with England, Australia and Scotland so far coming through to win 3 golds in the 3 races that we've had so far.
Yeah, it's been a brilliant start for that. Yeah. I also like the skills that you just showed there, because I was watching the screen while you were announcing the names as well, and it seemed to work in the order you were saying for a minute there. I guarantee you weren't looking at it. I could see you weren't. So that was very, very impressive. But it is nice.
That was perfect.
It was very well done, very well done. But it is nice, and again, it's never any slant on the Australians, but they win plenty. So it is nice to start the night slightly differently. And I can imagine for the fans within the swimming arena, it's nice for them to hear a different, national anthem for a while, because they probably will know it off by heart now, the Australian one. So it's good to mix it up a little bit. But it's a great start. and great for the team and good for everybody else going forward for the rest of the day. Get out there early, get some medals, and it gets everybody excited.
That's it. And the thing is, at the end of the day, it's only envy. We're envious.
Yeah, exactly that.
The good thing is, I think a little bit later on in the show, we're going to hear from Australian journalists as to why they are so good in the pool. But that is to come a little bit later on. Let's hand you back once more to Molly Renshaw and to Joe Shillington ahead of this men's 100 butterfly final.
Thank you, Natalie. Yes, it is a busy night under the artificial lights of the pool here in Glasgow. And the 8 swimmers ahead of the men's 100-metre butterfly final are ready to get off and underway, including defending champion Josh Liendo and the South African legend Chad le Clos in lane 8. And they are away, and le Clos gets off to a positive start here on the near side as we look at it, though Joshua Liendo, the defending champion from Canada, has also moved out of the blocks relatively quickly, as has the Australian Matthew Temple in lane 4. This is close as they approach the turn, Molly Renshaw.
Yeah, Josh Liendo of Canada for touching him fast in a 23.48. Really strong underwaters, keeping his head down off that wall, and inching into the lead ever so slightly.
Well, it's Liendo, and closest to him, the Aussie Ben Armbruster, who was expected to be in the mix. Liendo seems to have pulled away, and the defending champion may have the advantage, although this is incredibly tight. He's being pushed all the way at the moment here. Liendo takes the gold with Temple of Australia, Matthew Temple, finishing in the silver medal position, and Ben Armbruster, also of Australia, collecting bronze. So it's a great day, a great night for the Canadian supporters. The defending champion has successfully defended his crown.
It doesn't get any tighter than that. He won that in a 50.42, and Matthew Temple behind him won 100th of a second, so 50.43. Liendo also breaking a games record there, which Matt Temple set in the semi-final last night, so very fast swimming all round.
Absolutely extraordinary stuff. 50.42 seconds, as Molly says, that is a games record. I mean, when the gap is that small, that minuscule, what can you really say gave him the edge over the course of that swim?
Oh, it's so hard to say, you know. He's a really strong short course swimmer, so over the 25 metres, so his starts and his turns are always such a strength of his, but Matthew Temple really came back at him in that last 10 metres, and I think if he had maybe another metre or so, he might have had him, so he won't know until he looks back at the race where his strengths and his weaknesses were. But, yeah, really strong swim from the top 3 there.
Well, plenty of excitement here poolside, Natalie, and lots of cheers from the Canadian fans in the red shirts. The Aussies finishing in the silver and bronze medal positions, but it's congratulations to Josh Liendo, who once again at the Commonwealth Games takes gold in the men's 100-metre butterfly.
Molly and Joe, thank you very much. Yeah, so he successfully defends his title, and that's exactly what Adam Ramsey-Peaty hopes to do in the 50-metre breaststroke. Now, the semi-finals are coming your way a little bit later on, but last night, of course, he broke down in tears after his bid for Commonwealth gold glory in the 100-metre breaststroke ended in a bronze medal, which we were championing.
Absolutely.
It seems as though he feels slightly different about it all. He spoke to talkSPORT's Michael Waydock in what can only be described as a very strong interview.
Adam, you said there's a lot going through your head. I've just overheard you say that. Can you begin to communicate to our radio listeners what's going through the heads?
Well, unfortunately, sport is sport, and you never know what's over the mountain. It could be your biggest dream or it could be your worst dream, and actually having the courage to climb the mountain and look over the peak is, you know, what we do today. And unfortunately, it wasn't what we expected. So I think for me, at 31 years old, with, you know, my second child on the way, we've got a lot of decisions to make, because this sport does cost. And, you know, it's been a hell of a cycle, 4 months moving down to London, adjusting everything, really rushing to get up to pace. And I honestly think back now, I'm like, there's not a decision that went wrong. There's not a thing that I could have done better. I absolutely worked every cell of my body into this meet. And, you know, I think with Europeans on the horizon now in the next 2 weeks, I think we've got an opportunity to fix that. It wouldn't be my first time where I've had a slower Commonwealths or a slower Championships into another one. But I'm just spitballing. I don't really know how to answer that, to be honest. It's too raw.
You're an emotional guy, and this
Really?
seems to be an emotional night.
Yeah, because I'm a father. I think I'm not ever afraid to show weakness because I know how important it is to show emotion. I know how important it is to show happiness and love, but also times of, failure in a sense, of a moment of silence, I guess, with myself. But I think that emotion has helped me win world records, win gold medals, but it also makes me realise that a bronze medal isn't the end of the world, and I can still learn from it. I can still, bounce back, and I've still got a big dog inside of me that wants to fight.
And when you get to that point in the future, when you reflect on things, maybe put these medals and swim caps on display. This will be the first one that says Ramsey Peaty, and there'll be a bronze medal next to it.
Yeah, I think, I think that's a good thing. I mean, I don't keep any of my medals, to be honest, apart from the Olympic ones. I always give them away because it's just a fleeting moment for me. I remember it with my heart, I remember it with my mind and my spirit, and for me it's just a piece of metal that represents that. It's not really that important, without sounding arrogant, I guess. I'd rather a younger kid experience and feel that to stick and pursue their dreams. But yeah, in essence, it would be my first one. It's been a while, 2 years, and we're still getting used to this format. Obviously, still getting used to my emotions at 31 years old. Thought it got easier, but I think with a daughter on the way, they're only going to get worse in a sense. But, I think we look at sport and we look at what I have been able to achieve. It's been incredible. But also what I've been able to learn. That's the real lesson here. Then, it is sport and it is beautiful, but
you're not packing in though yet.
No, too early for that.
Wow,
quite a lot to unpack there.
There's a lot there, isn't there? I mean, he's very philosophical, and again, each to your own and how you deal with things. I mean, there were other interviews as well that I saw that he did after that race where he spoke about feeling as though he deserved to win, really, with all the work and effort that he's put in. He felt like he deserved it, which I thought was not the right thing to say when you're sort of dismissing the achievements of Sam Williamson and Philip Nowacki, who beat you to the gold and silver respectively. But as I say, each to your own and how you deal with these things.
Yeah.
I mean, we can unpack more about that in just a moment. But I guess for him, now he's got to concentrate on the 50 metres. Is that a good thing, do you think, that he can quickly move on?
I think, obviously, as you were saying there, he's got a big dog in his belly that's willing to fight, which for him, he's going to channel that in the way of trying to go out now and win every other race that he's in. It's obviously gone through to the semis, I think 5th fastest earlier.
That's right, yeah.
A bit more about later. But it's one of those things that I've been in his position as well. And in the heat of the moment, you say things and you think, afterwards, I wish I hadn't said that. Yeah. Now, Adam is somebody, as you say, he's very philosophical. He sort of, you made a great sort of nod to like an Eric Cantona style.
As it started, yeah.
Yeah, like one of those, and he is very much like that at times. I just think certain points of what you're saying there, you do have to be careful, and you should be thinking about others as well. The idea of, again, nobody deserves anything in sport. Everybody works equally as hard. It's not a written. It's not preordained because you are a world record holder or an Olympic champion or silver medalist. Is obviously at the moment. It's one of those things that, as you get older, in particular, these youngsters are able to perform and do things that fundamentally you can't do as well or can't do as often anymore. That was a big warning sign for me at the end of my career, watching the youngsters who would be the same sort of age as Philip. I would have been 30, 31, and watching how much they respond to doing what they were doing. Whereas every time I did it, I was going, this hurts. And my body was getting worse and worse. And Adam will be having very, very similar things. He'll be getting out the pool. And he did mention, he's saying yesterday, this hurts. It hurts so much. So much so that he's talking about in the future not doing the 100 anymore and just sticking to the 50. Now, the reason it hurts, and I thought maybe he was just talking about emotionally, but for him to also, it sort of sounds like it's physically, the training might have to change, everything else. I would say that is an age thing, and your body cannot do the sorts of things that it used to. You have to accept that. Training changes. If you do less, you become smarter with your training. You latch onto the things that you know you can do incredibly well, and sometimes you have to get rid of some of the other bits and bobs because they drain the battery too much, and then you can't perform. So that's where I think when he looks back, that's probably what he's trying to say. You just have to be really careful. I struggle a little bit with certain bits of talking about the medals. Now, when people talk to me about medals, they'll say, "Where'd you put your medals?" And I'm sometimes a bit flippant with it. I go, do you know what? I'm not sure where one is. I think I told you a story yesterday where I found a Commonwealth medal from India in 2010 in a box in storage, and I was like, oh, brilliant! I found that medal again. Now I understand a bit what you're saying. So for me, I always say the medals aren't the be all and end all of it. It's that performance, it's the memories for me. They're the most important things, like the memories of the day. It's not just winning, it's everything that led to that moment. It's so special. And I saw it differently to everybody else in the world, and I experienced it differently to everybody else in the world. And they are really, really special. Now, the medal is that tangible thing that says you did this. And for youngsters, like Adam's saying, oh, it's great for the kids to see it. Often you speak to kids now, I mean, especially I'm old now, so they have no idea what I did, don't care either, but you show them a gold medal and they go, wow, they can get their head around that, as do lots of other people.
Sure.
But I think to be very flippant in a way of saying, oh, well, I don't care about any of them bar the Olympic ones. I sort of move on. It's just a fleeting moment. I think we also have to be thinking of all of the other athletes who are here, who they will look up massively to someone like Adam Ramsey-Peaty. They'll see him as an absolute star. And he arguably, for Team England, is the biggest name at these Commonwealth Games. He is the one that everybody's looking at. So for some of them who will only make a final, if we look at it like that, will only win a bronze medal, if we think of it in that way, which will be their absolute world and the biggest moment in their lives sportingly ever, there will be a level of it going, oh, maybe it's not good enough, which I don't like.
Yeah, and look, I shouldn't really do this, but you look at what Ruben Ward has just achieved for Scotland, winning that gold medal in the gymnastics. You know, hopefully he'll go on to win plenty more medals. But if someone already dismisses the Commonwealth Games in the way that he did, and of course he didn't mean it, it's just something that he hasn't, he hasn't purposely gone out there to send that message as such. But he's just said it and not really thought about the context of it. But as you say, there will be athletes who will be winning today, tomorrow, over the next few days, and it's their first medal. Yeah. And it's a cherished medal. And you're talking about your own, and yes, you've got the memories, but there are also medals that will be passed down in your family.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, my children, I mean, and again, I ask my children, if you said to my children, like, what did Daddy used to do? They go, football.
Played in a sandpit.
Yeah, I get a bit of that. Like, but I love that as well. It's a lovely thing. But equally, ever so often, because they're generally locked away in a safe, they'll see a medal, and you can see, especially my oldest son now, like he's really into his sport, really into his cricket, and it's going really, really well for him. And you can see these accolades. It's sort of, the cogs are turning a little bit in his head. It's like, oh, if I work really hard, maybe you can get these sorts of accolades. And that's what I always try and get. And look, from my point of view with my children, I have no pressure on them to ever do professional sport. The likelihood of them doing it is slim to none, let's be honest. But if they see something like that and it inspires them to work that little bit harder, or see that there is a reason to playing cricket 4 times a week, as he seems to be doing at the moment, which is brilliant, but equally a lot of driving around. But it's these sorts of things that the children in particular, they absolutely love it. And I think it was also, I was watching Stephanie Kernochan earlier, in the boxing, compete for Scotland. She'd come out of retirement to compete for Scotland in this Commonwealth Games, and it was like a big thing for her. She got knocked out earlier. She was devastated with that, but a quote from her was, "This is a moment I'll hold on for the rest of my life, competing in Scotland." Now, she doesn't want a medal. She's basically devastated with that, but equally, having that moment, this is where I see it. This is the flip side of it. Throwing away a medal because you don't deem it as good enough. Compare that to other athletes where it is literally the be-all and just being there and competing. And we get so caught up on, if you haven't won a medal, you failed, or if you haven't won, you failed. And there's certain people out there in the media who love to yank on that chain. And it's painfully unfair to the athletes who, all of them give it absolutely everything. For them, it is either making a final or maybe scraping a medal once in their lives, and forevermore they get to say that that's what they did. And I think that's something special.
Well, again, I go back to Kieran Stiles, the weightlifter, who actually herniated his disc. So spent 3 years to get to the point of being able to qualify for these games. And yes, it didn't go to plan in terms of winning a medal, but he got there. He had to set reminders. He had to tell himself this was still the aim. It was the desire to get to the Commonwealth Games. He achieved that. And that is a win in itself.
Absolutely. And I think with Adam's words, I think probably if he looks back at it, he'll think, like, I didn't mean it like that. Like,
no,
I didn't
I'm
mean
sure
to.
He did.
And I'm almost certain that will be the case. But this is where when emotions are running high and you're doing an interview straight after something like that, I think it's dangerous, because the problem is that then gets clipped up and that could be used for forevermore, pretty much. And when we're talking about the importance of the Commonwealth Games, and it's something that's talked about every single day, and I keep seeing, especially people that are working around it, former athletes that are working on the Commonwealth Games at the moment, nearly all of them are doing videos where they're saying how important it is and what they're witnessing on the ground, be that the crowds or the passion from the... I mean, we're seeing tears of joy from athletes when they're winning. Well, that tells you everything, doesn't it? It matters. It means something to all of these athletes. So for the people that are saying there's no point in the Commonwealth Games, watch it, listen about it. You will see the passion about it. So we don't need any athletes, as the case, sort of poo-pooing it a little bit, because it does mean an awful lot. And maybe, look, sport to sport, I would always see in athletics, people who win Commonwealth medals, that's a massive deal. That is a really big deal. Look, it's not, of course, the Olympics, and it's maybe not the World Championships, but it's still a massive deal. As a young athlete growing up watching it, I dreamt of having a moment like that, and I feel very, very lucky that I had that chance to do it a couple of times. But if I'd have walked away with one Commonwealth bronze medal in my entire career, if you'd have said that to me again, 17, 18, I still would have been happy with it.
Yeah. You did a bit more than that. But anyway, Adam Ramsey-Peaty will be going in the 50-metre breaststroke semi-final a little bit later on, and we'll bring you that as and when it happens. You're listening to the Commonwealth Games on talkSPORT with BYD. Dare to Dream with BYD and the Commonwealth Games.
Jurgen Klopp has today been appointed as the new national team manager. As a Liverpool fan, would you spend the money on Diamonde as a sort of up-and-coming prospect, or would you go for Barcola as the ready-made replacement for Mo Salah?
I'm not sure on Barcola. I'd probably Diamonde. I like him. But it's 110 million quid for potential. When you're paying 110 million quid for potential nowadays, I don't love that. And that's a problem. And that's where the market is, unfortunately. So it's a tough one. Liverpool have to replace Salah. They need...
Okay, we are bringing you 5 more medal events in the pool this evening, and which has already seen success for England, with Alice Tighe winning the first gold of the evening. Scotland as well, with Angrid Evans have picked up a gold medal. So it's been a great start to the home nations in the pool this evening. But can more medals be picked up in the gymnastics, in the women's all-around individual event? Let's check in once more with Charlotte Richardson.
We are now into the third rotation. The vault and the bars done, beam and floor routines to go, and England, Canada and Australia have dominated this event, sharing all 30 medals over the past 10 games. But as things stand, it's a Canada 1-2 with Welsh star Ruby Evans in third, her teammate Emily Roper fourth. For England, Abby Martin's early struggles mean it's hard to see her add into yesterday's team bronze. Shantae Eva Manko has just performed on the beam and was beaming with a smile. She's still very much in the mix. And as you were both saying earlier on, for these athletes, the memories are as sacred as the medals. And I was reading this morning that for the England gymnasts, they treated themselves to a McFlurry yesterday evening after their podium place. And there is still opportunity again for them to go away with a medal tonight. This is sport. Anything can happen, and in this particular discipline, nerve and composure play such an important part. We're expecting twists and turns both on the floor but also on the scoreboard too.
A McFlurry, that's absolutely perfect, Charlotte. Thank you very much.
I fancy one now. Anybody fancy bringing a McFlurry?
Deliveroo. Did you treat yourself to anything? Won any of the medals that you can think of?
Well, do you know what? Funny enough, that's I mean, are we allowed to obviously? So McFlurry comes
it's
from.
Happened now.
Comes from. Well, anybody who knows anything about the Olympics, you'll know that McDonald's is actually one of the major sponsors of it, right? So in the village, you have a huge McDonald's in the food hall.
Is it free?
Yeah, it's free, completely free as well. And what I always sort of say, like, if you ever go to an Olympics and you've been like living under a stone, and you just got yourself into the Olympic Village, you would know how far along the Olympics were by how big the queue at McDonald's is. So as people finish, they just go absolutely mad for it. So I did treat myself to some nuggets, and I think, no, it was a pie. I had some nuggets and a pie at about 5 a.m. while watching all of the other...
What, it's a 24/7?
Yeah, it's... If you wanted, you could eat yourself into a coma there. Honestly, the Olympic Games from that point of view. But you have food from all over the world. So to be honest, I was more interested in some of the amazing food from around the world. But and it's an incredible thing.
One reason to try and get into the Olympics.
Nowadays,
the food hall.
You think kit and food. I mean, it can be a...
That's terrific.
Yeah, but my age now, so when you're younger, obviously it's all about performance. But now it'd be just about the kit and food.
So nuggets and a pie. I like that, though.
I know, apple pie, by the way, it was.
Yes, I thought so. Obviously not together, separate.
I mean, they were consumed at pretty much the same time,
God. Well, listen, why not? You just won a gold. You can do what you like. Talking of gold, we mentioned it already for Team Scotland in the pool. Angharad Evans took home gold in the women's 100-metre breaststroke final, and she's just been speaking to talkSPORT's John Cushing.
I'm here with Angharad Evans, Team Scotland's Commonwealth champion.
Yes, no, so happy with tonight's results. There was a lot of doubt, it's more the unknown that scares me. Not knowing what other people can do and, pointlessly stressing about what you can't control. Getting better at it, but, I dived in and I was just having the time of my life. Competing in front of a home crowd, in front of my friends, my family. I looked up, I saw my teammates there and my coaches, so just went out there and had fun. All my coaches asked from me today was to give it my all and, leave nothing behind, and that's what I did.
In the second 50, did you know that Amy Canny was ahead of you?
Yeah, well, I could kind of see the splash. The second 50 is my strong suit, so I very much prepared to not be first at 50. And the best part of my race is that last 25, which is usually where other people fade off. I definitely felt...
You knew you were going to get her?
I didn't know. I think it was more towards, if I'm with them at 25, 8 times out of 10 I'll get them, but when it's a Commonwealth Games and there's still a chance you won't, it is scary, especially in the last 5 metres when, I could see my hands going forward and her hands going forward, and you just kind of don't know, so you just shut your eyes and just throw your arms forward and see what happens. But less about the time today. The time was okay, but...
Hey, it's a gold medal.
Exactly, that's what I'm more focused about. It's more about racing the race than the time, so...
You said you were nervous. Your mum gets more nervous though, yeah?
Absolutely, she is a nervous wreck, but one thing that she can do that I can't do is have a drink to calm the nerves. That's not something I can do before my race. I have to sit with the nerves, and that's something my coach talks about. Good, you're nervous, because if you aren't, I'd be worried.
Can you have a drink tonight?
No, unfortunately, I can't have a drink till Europeans is over, so a few weeks away, but... what I can, I'll be celebrating.
Oh, I love that. And I can imagine she's absolutely right about the nerves of your family. It's all very well you're dealing with your own, but and I'm sure no one's family tries to put their nerves upon the athlete, but sometimes you can't help but feel it, I imagine, from your family.
Oh, God. I mean, yeah, of course, there is that level of expectation from absolutely everybody. No matter what everybody says, no, don't worry, it doesn't matter what, you can feel it. But for me, I always just put more and more pressure on myself, because then it didn't matter what was happening externally. I'd always put way more on myself anyway. So that doesn't really become an issue. But I can sort of feel for the parents. And you watch it now, don't you? You see the crowds and you just see the parents going absolutely mad. And what a feeling that must be for them.
Oh, really, really special. Already tonight, Australia have won 7 medals in the pool. We were asking the question of why. Why are they so dominant when it comes to the pool? talkSPORT John Cushing, who you just heard from there, put that very question to reporter for the Australian newspaper, Jacqueline Magnay, earlier today.
Well, every Australian has learned to swim at a very young age. It's kind of ingrained in everybody as a toddler to get in the water, and we have ready access to pools everywhere up and down the country. So it's very much a cultural thing, that it's a sport that we readily accept and adopt, and it's something most children would do.
How then do you get to the point where you're winning medals and multiple gold medals at Commonwealth Games and Olympics?
Well, I think it comes back to money and support, and also the recognition that traditionally Australia has done well in it. So it's perceived as one of the headline sports, along with track and field and cycling, that if you're going to make it in Olympic sports, then they're the ones that you try and get into if you're a talented athlete.
But why do you win so many? And there's a lot of talk at the moment in this country particularly about England
dropping out. The Australians think the Commonwealth Games is really important.
Well, it is really important for Australia, especially because of the Brisbane 2032 Olympic Games. They talk about this being the runway to those games, and having multi-sport experience is invaluable. And it's not just the competitors getting the experience of being in a village situation and dealing with different sports and the pressure and profile of it, but also the support staff, that they're training, you know, the backroom staff, the physios, the admin people. So they're using these games as a real experience in the lead up to Brisbane. So it's still 6 years away, but they're trying to grab every multi-sport experience coming up. You know, we've got LA in 28 as well, and any kind of world championships, things like that, that these athletes and officials are being trained for.
And it seems like every night you would win 90% of the gold medals at the Toll Cross at the moment. Do you think there's a fact that if you don't win a gold medal, it's like, well, we need to make sure we do next time?
Ooh, well, I think in the pool there is this culture of success and an expectation of winning. And so that kind of breeds success in itself, that the bar is set incredibly high. And you're seeing even athletes who perhaps are not standout performers in their particular event come through. So I've got an example like Jenna Forrester. I mean, she was fourth in the trials. She only is here because Kaylee McEwen dropped out, and yet she comes out and wins. So I think Australians love that big time atmosphere. They love the full stadia. Obviously, everyone's cheering for Scotland, and you see all the Scottish flags and the flower of Scotland. Everyone's welling up and crying. But it brings out the best in Australia. They really are competitive, and when it comes to beating the Brits, whether that's England, Scotland, Wales or Northern Ireland, that's what we are focused upon.
Yeah. Do you know what? That was really, really interesting. We'll actually talk more about that in just a moment, but because we want to take a break and be back in time for Adam Ramsey-PT as he goes in that 50-metre breaststroke semi-final right here on Commonwealth Games Kickoff.
Obviously, you've got Kai Havertz, who was missing for most of last season. He's back and available and can play either as your centre forward or off your centre forward, which again shows a little bit more congestion in that kind of attacking midfield role. So I think when you zoom out, bigger picture, the squad still has enough. It has a lot of depth, but I think the reason there's a bit of nervousness around the Arsenal fan base right now is because we see an opportunity. We win the league for the first time in 22 years. Manchester City have lost Pep Guardiola. He's moved on. Maresca's a great coach, but is he Pep Guardiola? I'm not sure he is. In fact, I'm certain he's not. You look at Liverpool, you know, new coach starting the project again. Chelsea under Alonso. Really good coach, but they're going to need time. Man United are not quite there yet. There's an opportunity for Arsenal to not just consolidate, but to take another step and dominate for a period of time. And I think that's why there's a nervousness around this transfer window. Last year, it was about, can we do the business to get us over the line? We've done that. Now it's about, can we do the business?
Champions League.
Yeah, to consolidate.
Good evening to you. This is Commonwealth Games Kickoff this Sunday evening, and we're going to take you straight back to the pool to find out the results of the women's 100-metre freestyle semi-finals that have taken place. Molly Renshaw and Jo Shannon.
Yes, the top 8 fastest, Natalie, from the semis qualify to the final. The remainder are eliminated. We have our top 8, including an all-Aussie top 3. Molly O'Callaghan, Meg Harris and Shayna Jack. Theodora Taylor of Wales finished 4th. Evelyn Davis qualifying 5th for Scotland. Freya Anderson and Leah Schlossen of England in 6th and 7th. And Caitlin de Lange of South Africa taking up that final qualifying place. All 8 swimmers will qualify for the women's 100-metre freestyle final.
Joe, thank you very much. So the men's 50-metre breaststroke semi-finals are about to take place. The first is coming up shortly. We're not going to bring you that one live, but we will bring you the one containing Adam Ramsey-Peaty. So that will be getting underway shortly because it's only 50 metres. It's pretty quick. In terms of how quick, Adam Peaty holds the world record at 25.95.
Pretty quick, eh?
That is pretty quick.
That is pretty quick.
And you were telling me in the break that you only learnt to swim a few years ago, really.
2019, yeah. Wow. Yeah, to try and cross the channel as part of a TV show.
What?
I hurt my shoulder in that as well, actually.
Of course you did.
Of course I did. Yeah. So I'd never... And I just found it really interesting, obviously, what Jacqueline Magnay was saying just before the break about how it's sort of in their DNA that they learn from such a young age, and sort of every child does it. And I was in my 30s when I started. So, I mean, it's one of those...
So you didn't have any less like it as a youngster at school? Because I had that at school, but
we jumped in the pool a couple of times. I used to hold on to the side. I mean, but I reckon we visited a pool maybe 2 or 3 times ever as a school.
It was like a term at the most, if I remember.
Yeah. And during my entire time at school as well. It wasn't like it was yearly. Like we just went to this pool in Wolverton in Milton Keynes. Anybody who's from it will know it. And back then it wasn't the nicest place in the world either. So that's probably why we didn't go as often. But yeah, I never learned. So it was just something. But interestingly, with me as well, probably typically me as well. If I was ever out by the sea or whatever, I'd happily jump into the sea, and then I'd
not think about
frantically doggy paddle.
Oh no!
I'd only ever go about a metre or so, and then I'd like doggy paddle back in until I learn. And it is a great skill to have. I've not swam since, to be honest, but it's good. It's good.
When you say so, you did do the channel swim?
We failed just at the end because of the weather.
Oh no!
Weather.
Well, hang on, you still swam a chunk of it then?
Yeah, I did a couple of hours in the channel. Yeah,
we did it as a relay. I can't imagine anything more scary.
Oh, I loved it. I tell you what, there's a moment, right? It was probably, I think it was about 2 o'clock in the morning. So you go sort of you start in the afternoon. You wait for the weather window, or whatever. We obviously got it slightly wrong. And I was swimming. You're next to this boat. Everybody else is asleep. Even like the safety person was asleep. Just one of the other people. I know it's ridiculous. One of the other people stayed up with me. And for an entire hour, you're looking down into the abyss of the English Channel, thinking, there's a lot of stuff at the bottom of this. I don't want to join that. But it was also quite fun.
No,
it was quite serene. Like I can't swim in swimming pools like we're watching here. I get too hot and bothered. But stick me in a lake, I'm quite happy, or the sea.
I just don't understand that. But brilliant that you attempted it. I have to say, absolutely.
I would like
brilliant.
to do it again.
Well,
if you fancy it, should we create a talkSPORT team? We'll go and give it a go. Can you swim?
No.
We didn't actually get it. Can you swim?
I can be the safety person that's asleep. I'll do that. Look, let's take you back to the pool because that semi-final, which contains Adam Ramsey-Peaty, is about to get underway. So here you're going to hear from Molly Renshaw and Joe Shannon.
Yes, thanks, Natalie. The crowd and the noise have really picked up here. Ramsey-Peaty is poolside in lane 3 and ready to go for England. Williamson, Smith, Nowacki and Dawson from semi-final 1 have put themselves in pole position to qualify. Remember, the 8 fastest from both semi-finals qualify for the final. I wonder what Ramsey-Peaty is thinking at the moment, Molly.
I imagine he just wants to get out there, produce a good time, get a good lane for tomorrow night's final, and just save a bit of energy, I think, for tomorrow. You know, it's been an emotional few days for him, so just getting through the rounds and getting a good job done.
With his red swim cap on, Ramsey-Peaty in lane 3, in between Bradley and Hooley. You can hear the anticipation in the crowd. This event has been hotly sought after in terms of tickets in the build-up, and it is full at Toll Cross. And Ramsey-Peaty in lane 3 is off to a bright start, as is Ronan Zuberg-Vontenaar in lane 5. Ramsey-Peaty trying to keep pace with the 2 leaders. Ramsey-Peaty pushing hard here, but it's the man next to him, Michael Hooley in lane 4, who appears to have the advantage. Ramsey-Peaty, though, is closing in. He looks like he'll do enough to qualify for the final. Hooley takes first place, Ramsey Peaty in second, Vantanar in third, and Goodburn of Scotland in fourth position. So Michael Hooley wins the second semi-final here in the men's 50-metre breaststroke, and Adam Ramsey Peaty will have done enough to have qualified for the final as well, Molly.
Yeah, great swim there. I think as expected from the South African, he had an awesome start in the 100 last night and just proven again that front end speed that he has. But Adam Peaty just trailing behind by 0.2 of a second. So great swim there from him, and I'm sure we'll see him through.
Well, we can confirm, or we should be able to confirm for you in just a moment, exactly who has qualified. And as we expected, Adam Ramsey Peaty is through to the final in third position in this semi-final rankings. The combined two semi-finals and the top 8 go through. Adam Ramsey Peaty is into the final. Michael Hooley leading the way. Sam Williamson of Australia, who we have heard plenty about over the last couple of days or so at this Commonwealth Games. Ramsey Peaty in third. Chris Smith of South Africa in fourth. Ronan Zuberg Vantanar of Namibia in fifth position. Philip Nowaki, the 18-year-old from Jersey, qualifies sixth. Archie Goodburn of Scotland in seventh. And Oliver Dawson of Canada in eighth. So it's Ramsey Peaty joining the pack for the final, Natalie.
Joe, thank you very much. So that's an improvement on his heat time for Adam Ramsey Peaty, and he does go in that final, which we'll, of course, bring to you live here on talkSPORT. Lots to digest from the pool. There's still plenty more medal events to come as well. But right now, delighted to say joining us on the show is pundit who represented England netball as a player at the 2002 Commonwealth Games, also the former head coach of England netball as well. Jess Thirlby's with us. How are you, Jess?
Hello, Natalie and Greg. How are you both?
Hi, Jess.
We're very, very well and delighted to have you with us as well. We'll get to the netball in just a moment because we are obviously well into it now. But what's your experience been like at these Commonwealth Games?
Oh, it's been amazing. I'm sure you can both, in particular, Greg, you can most probably understand where I'm coming from, where I say, like, we're on day 3, but it feels like the third week in all the best possible ways. Yeah, it's been an incredible experience so far, and I just can't believe how thick and fast the action comes. I'm emotional. I'm loving sports outside of my own. I think I woke up this morning in tears watching, the footage of Gabriel coming back from his hospital, and everyone just being safe. And then the women's artistic gymnastics, Ruben Ward today, like I'm just absorbing everything, and then trying to speak a little bit about netball, which is what I'm meant to know about.
I was going to say, I saw you talking about this earlier, actually, that you were brought to tears by some of the performances. Is this something that sort of for you now, being in and around all the different sports, you're just finding how much you love different sports, not just netball?
Yeah, and I've literally always loved watching any and every sport. Athletics is actually one of my favourites, Greg.
Go on.
You've given us a lot of memories as well. And I'm surrounded, I've got you and Thomas in my ear as well, so I can't escape it. But I've always loved every sport, and I just feel so privileged now that I'm sat in a porter cabin most of the day, like amongst absolute heavyweights from the sporting world. And if only people knew and could hear what we're talking about, like I just feel like I am literally, I'm a sports fan, and then I walk in and obviously try and impart some insight and knowledge as well around the world of netball, which, I feel very, very lucky. So it's a brilliant experience.
But you see, that's the key thing, isn't it? You're bringing something else to a lot of these, as you're saying, big hitters, that they're learning new stuff from you as well, which is the beauty of being a TNT pundit.
Yeah, look, Manchester 2002, I was there as an athlete, pulling on the red and white for England. 2022 in Birmingham coaching, and this time around a slightly different role. So I've played one, coached one, and then I'm talking about one. And yeah, I guess I'm still trying to find the one I'm good at, I think.
Oh, well, I'm sure you're good at all of them. Clearly, we know that. Certainly so. Tell us about what's happened so far in the netball. Obviously, England won their first game and then unfortunately lost. It was quite a humbling defeat, wasn't it, to Australia, the old foes, shall we say, in that game that took place today.
Yeah, look, there was so much anticipation because is it possible for England or any of the other kind of top nations to beat Australia? It is possible. You know, England have beaten Australia back in 2024 on their home soil as part of a 3-match test series, beat them in the World Cup in 2023. So it is possible. But when we talk about probability, it's still stacked in favour of Australia. So I think, you know, if you were to go around, I think David Flatman's been roaming around here. I don't know if that's a good way of phrasing
Flats
it.
on the road.
But he's been a roaming pundit in and amongst the fans. And I think, you know, anyone with kind of a little bit of netball nous would still most probably put their money on Australia against England. But the point being now is that more than ever, anyone in this top 5, it is possible for them to overturn each other. And I think that's the bit that we were kind of hoping for, at least a tighter game, I guess. And I think that's most probably what everyone's left feeling a little bit deflated by. But it is tournament netball. And actually, the result today doesn't stop England making the final and picking up a gold. I think it's just one of those hurdles and bumps where you kind of go, you know, in Fran Williams' words, the captain, not at our best today. And Australia were very, very good. And sometimes you've just got to acknowledge that it just wasn't a great day in the office. And if you linger on that for too long, it will really affect them going into tomorrow's game, and we just can't afford that. So it doesn't dictate where we'll end up. It's just, it is what it is. We've lost to the world number 1. They've never not made a final here in the Commonwealth Games, so it was a big ask, but I think it was just slightly flat in the fact that the game ran away from England, in particular in that second half, having in some ways shown some fight back in some really nice responses in the opening periods. We went 3-9 down and then managed to pull that back, and then started the second quarter with a run of 3 goals. But in that second half, it seemed to move away and not really the response that we expected or wanted to see. So I think England will absolutely go back to the drawing board. They'll have their eyes now firmly on their fixture against Malawi tomorrow, who are a difficult opponent, and absolutely deserve the attention of England to kind of get over that tomorrow. And then they will have to beat South Africa to get out of this group and earn the right to go in a semi-final. That is all still more than possible. So I think it's about, you know, not dwelling, moving through it, as I know they will, very professional, looking forward. And look, let's hope we're back in a final with them towards the tail end of this competition.
Something interesting, you mentioned Fran Williams there, obviously captain of the team. She also mentioned they couldn't cope with the Australians physically. Now, is that not something that would be prepped thoroughly before they go out there? Because I would have thought you would know that's coming, so surely you would make sure that you were in the best position in order to combat that.
Yeah, I agree, Greg. I think it's hard in interviews, isn't it? We've seen that so often in the last few days, where we want people to be authentic. We want to hear their raw kind of reflections on the game. And I think everything then is up for interpretation. You're absolutely spot on. Do we know that Australia play a physical game? They're like human backpacks on you. You know, but we do know that. You're right. So I think that there's something in the fact of, if we know it, what have we missed in our preparation? And ironically, you know, yesterday we had a fixture against Northern Ireland where we really weren't put under enough pressure. And then we come into a game like today and it's worlds apart in terms of that physicality. So it isn't that the players don't know. You know, Fran herself plays over in Australia. The team have played against physical teams a number of times. There's something about tournament netball where you have to switch that on straight away, despite the fact that the day before things were pretty easy. And I think that's a skill in itself, isn't it? So I think we need to get our heads around that sharpish, because it's not going to get much easier against some of the opponents we've got coming up. So it's an admission, isn't it? It's Fran trying to be honest, because I think there were a few spillages of the ball today which are just uncharacteristic. You can't really get away with that when you're playing against the top nations. And I guess what England are saying is they put some of that down to the physicality, but it has to be fixed up pretty quick just so that we can get back to being more clinical, which is what we've come to know and love about the Roses in recent years.
And I guess, I know you've sort of alluded to it already, better to have these sort of moments in a group stage rather than when it comes to the knockout stage.
Yeah, and I was talking about this in the commentary at the time, because we haven't really got a blueprint for what is the route that means that we're going to get to that final and win a gold. Because in Birmingham, we won every pool stage match, including beating New Zealand, which was history making in itself. And then Australia went and lost to Jamaica on the opposite side of the group. So that meant we met Australia in a semi-final, which again became a hard task, and then ended up missing out on bronze as well against New Zealand. So and then you look at the World Cup, we beat Australia in the pool and we beat New Zealand in a semi-final, and then faltered just in the latter stages of what was the first ever World Cup final, and came away with our first silver. So there isn't really a blueprint for what success looks like. And that's why I'm saying, look, everybody, let's just not overreact. We're going to have to get over that, reflect pretty quickly. But as I say, doesn't dictate where we might end up at the end of the tournament.
Jess, really appreciate you joining us this evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
No problem at all. And keep watching, everybody.
Indeed. And you enjoy the Commonwealth Games as well. Jess, they'll be there, the former head coach of England netball, but of course former player as well. You can watch every event of these Glasgow 2026 Commonwealth Games exclusively live on TNT Sports and all HBO Max plans in UK and Ireland. You're tuning in to the Commonwealth Games on talkSPORT with BYD. Dare to dream with BYD and the Commonwealth Games.
I think United want to move on. He's obviously on a hefty wage. I'm amazed Saudi haven't come in. I'm amazed he hasn't gone out to Saudi.
I think he won it.
Again, Saudi pay a lot more than 300 grand a week for a player obviously who's playing for England and still in his prime. Yeah. I'm very surprised Barcelona didn't do the deal. But then again, I expected him to do well at Barcelona. Most, average wingers would do well out there, the team they have. I don't know where he goes. If you were a Spurs, would you go for him?
That's the one that keeps nagging away in the back of my mind.
We'll take him for a loan.
Yeah.
And we have 5 more medal events to come in the pool, as well as keeping right across what's happening in the gymnastics in the all-around women's individual medal event. Not only that, talkSPORT has you covered as well for the darts. The PDC World Match Play Final taking place at the Winter Gardens. It's Luke Littler against Gerwyn Price. How's this final getting on in Danta?
Well, we've just had the first mini session, Natalie, of 5 legs, and Luke Littler has already raced into a 4-1 lead. The bookmakers reckoned there'd be more chance of a 9-dart finish tonight than Gerwyn Price getting one over on the nuke. And Luke has just taken out back-to-back ton-plus finishes, a 1.67 and a 1.15, to take an early advantage in a race to 18 legs to get the job done. Gerwyn Price hasn't been put out or hasn't been taken in by any of the potential mind games around this match. He's trying to do it his own way, but boy oh boy, he's got to pick up his average from what he's done already in this tournament if he's going to give Luke Littler a game, because the nuke is already looking laser focused. So the first mini session done, 18 legs, brings you the Phil Taylor Trophy. It is Luke Littler 4, Gerwyn Price 1.
Ian Danta, thank you very much. Live commentary of the darts currently is on talkSPORT 2 if you wish to tune into that with our team at the Winter Gardens, and it sounds like a cracking atmosphere there.
That's just, I've never been to watch the darts live, and I've always wanted to. Yeah, and I've got one of my best friends is really big into it, and he's mates with Luke's agent actually, and he keeps saying like, we've got to go.
Ins.
I know, I've got to go, but that's a sport, isn't it? That I don't know. It's so good. Even just watch it on TV. It's so good to take on board, and the way the crowd gets involved. I always sort of wish athletics could do that a little bit more. Get the crowd somehow. I know it's on a bigger scale, but I just think they get it right.
I mean, I've been fortunate to go to the darts quite a few times, I have to say. I'm very lucky in that sense. The weirdest thing, of course, is because the darts board is so small, you are watching it on the big screen. So you're just like, I could be watching this on the telly at home. But it is part of the atmosphere. It's just being there and being around, just within, you've got the sort of the tables and the stalls, and there's the rivalry between the two. It's just great fun.
You're going to have less people dressed as certain things, aren't you, at home? If you
exactly.
Exactly.
So, I mean, you can dress up at home if you so wish.
Dress up the dog as well.
Invite your mates around, but it's probably better to go to them and just experience. You've got to do it once, at least do it once, and I'm sure you'll love it. Right, let's get back to the Commonwealth Games because there are medals to be won. And I mentioned the gymnastics. How's it all going, Charlotte Richardson?
We are into the final rotation, and despite showing so much character to execute a battling display on the beam, England's Abigail Martin is out of medal contention. However, Shantae Mankwa on her Commonwealth debut still very much in the hunt for a podium place. The floor exercise to go, and the teenager, who is the youngest of England's gym team, is really stepping up to the occasion. Amankwa comes from a sporty family. Her grandmother Rose represented Ghana as a sprinter at the Commonwealth Games, and her dad Kevin made over 400 appearances in the EFL for teams including Bristol City and Swindon. So a medal might be added to the family's bragging rights. Fingers firmly crossed she will take to the floor in the next few minutes.
Charlotte, thank you very much. That also fascinates me, how there are so many sort of sporting heritages within all of these families, like so many families.
It's
I mean, you
really
mentioned it obviously with your family connection as well.
Yeah, mine was 100 years ago, I guess, but it's clearly there somewhere. No, it is fascinating. I mean, that's amazing as well. And I always think if you've got it as direct, I mean, my great-granddad said it was 100 years ago. I mean, he died in the 1960s, so I never had any conversations with him.
Sure.
But the fact that you have got close family members who you can lean on when it is difficult, especially when you're young and you are trying to gain that experience, they've lived it, they've breathed it, and you can have a little bit of help in that way. I think that's a massive advantage there.
Yeah, very, very much so. Let's bring you more reaction from the pool, shall we? Because it all started early on with Alice Tighe winning the first gold of this evening's events for Team England. That came in the S9 Women's 100-metre backstroke final, and she spoke to talkSPORT's John Cushing.
Here we are with Alice Tighe, Commonwealth champion again.
Yeah, crazy. What the heck?
Talk us through today, because you swam this morning and then obviously swam tonight.
Yeah, so this morning I actually was a little bit ill this morning. I don't think my breakfast went down very well. So I felt quite nauseous before the heat. And then it was just really, I had plain rice and potatoes and bread for lunch, which isn't, a performance lunch, but it helped settle my stomach. And then being able to come back tonight, didn't know what to expect, but to retain my title, three games on the trot is really special.
Did it help in some ways being in lane 2, a bit further away from, you're normally in the middle?
Yeah, I don't like being in lane 4 or 5 because they have those cameras at the block, and I can see myself if I can see the screen, and it really distracts me. So I was trying not to be in lane 4 or 5, to be honest. I also quite like, just being in an outside lane. I feel like I swim my own race more, whereas if I'm in the middle, I get a bit too competitive sometimes.
Jerusalem has played. You've got your medal round your neck.
Yep.
Job done.
Job done, yeah. I got here yesterday, swam today, and then I'm going home tomorrow to continue rehabbing from this. I've had an injury, so I'm just going home to rehab that. But this was a nice little pit stop, I guess.
A pit stop, eh?
I know. Just stop off at the Commonwealth Games and win a medal.
That touches on something you mentioned yesterday when you were talking about athletes having to push through injuries. Clearly an injury there. And adrenaline is one hell of a, a reaction from your body. When you've got that coursing through your veins, honestly, you can really overcome an awful lot.
And like she was saying, she wasn't that well this morning, and yet somehow has come through to win a gold medal, because it is, it doesn't come around very often at Commonwealth Games, nor does an Olympics, Paralympics, whatever it is. So you sometimes just have to go, I know I don't feel great, but I've got to push through, really.
Yeah, that crash will come tomorrow, genuinely. So what all of a sudden, obviously, the adrenaline goes down, your body starts going, what on earth have I been doing? And then that illness will probably take effect at that point. And actually, there's some really good, interesting research behind competing just before you fall ill. Your body is trying to fight this illness, so it sends loads and loads of different things into your system, which actually works as a sort of not a performance enhancer as such.
No, but it
basically,
helps.
you have a surge of different things being released into your system to try and fight the illness. So if you can time it with doing well, then which has just happened. So I almost guarantee she's not going to be feeling very well over the next few days.
Yeah, and that's the thing as well. Like, you're so focused on one thing, you're not really thinking as much as she spoke about not feeling very well this morning, because you can just focus on the race. As you say, that crash will happen. She's going to feel it. She might feel a bit sick tomorrow or whatever it is, and hopefully she doesn't. But that again itself, you just know, I can just get through this.
Yeah,
just get through it.
I used to actually have conversations with my body. Genuinely. Yeah. I mean, I'd literally talk to my legs. It's like I would talk to a dog, like at these points, because at times you are injured, you are feeling awful. And I used to just be like, don't worry, It's one more jump. And then we'll have a break. I promise I'll book a holiday this year. We'll go away and you won't have to do anything at all. And it was a bit like that to me, especially my last games. My body was falling apart and I was like, come on, you'll be okay. I think there's the side of it.
Everyone needs a bit of PMA, don't they? Positive mental attitude.
Absolutely.
And that's, again, kind of manifestation. It's all of that sort of thing. You're just trying to get yourself through it. And if you can come away with a medal like Alice Ty has done, that's even a bigger bonus as well. But let's take you back to the pool because we do have another final to bring you. It is the women's 100-metre backstroke. There are home nations to look out for, competitors, that is. So, Molly Renshaw, Joe Shannon, take it away.
Yes, Scotland's Katie Shanahan among the competitors here, Natalie, as is Lauren Cox of England and Lottie Cullen of Northern Ireland. Kylie Mass of Canada, arguably the favourite. This one is potentially wide open after the late withdrawal of the defending champion, Australia's Kaylee McEwen. Into the pool they go, and we are moments away from the women's 100-metre backstroke final getting off and underway. Shanahan in lane 1, the far end, the far side of the pool as we look at it. Lottie Cullen of Northern Ireland closest to us in lane 8. And away they go, and a promising start through the middle lane towards the far side. Iona Alexandra Anderson of Australia, but it's all being closely fought and keenly contested in the pool so far. Just looking across towards that lane 4, Kylie Mass of Canada appears to have the edge, but it's all quite tight at the moment. Molly Renshaw.
It is indeed. Kylie Mass turning first at the 50 at 28.07, really making the most of those underwater phases on the way back here.
Iona Anderson just behind her, and the crowd noise starting to pick up, but it continues to be Kylie Mass leading the way. Iona Anderson trying to push her in lane 3. These two are almost side by side, and they're virtually neck and neck now. We've got into the last 25 metres. Will it be Anderson? Will it be Mass? There are only seconds remaining, and this is extremely close. Anderson of Australia takes the gold. Mass of Canada the silver. And what a race that was. Iona Alexandra Anderson has managed to hold off the competition of Kylie Mass. And it's Anderson, 58.71 seconds, who takes the gold. Mass 0.06 seconds behind her, would you believe it? And Olivia Nell of South Africa taking home the bronze. What a race that was, Molly.
What a great finish from Iona. We know Kylie had a really strong start. She's very experienced in the 50 and the 100-metre backstroke, so she does have that sprint expertise, but an awesome finish from Anderson to get the gold.
Oh, the crowd were absolutely enthralled with that. Almost nothing in it at the very end. And in terms of the race itself, Molly, it really lived up to the billing, didn't it? It felt like it was wide open at the start of the race, and in the end, so it proved.
Absolutely, yeah. I think we had Kylie down as the favourite to win that one. You know, she's so experienced, but experience only gets you so far, and she just got pipped on the end. But yeah, great race across the field.
Yes, well done to them all. Olivia Nell of South Africa taking the bronze medal. Kylie Mass of Canada the silver, and gold goes to Australia. Yet another gold at the 2026 Commonwealth Games in Glasgow. Iona Alexandra Anderson here in the women's 100-metre backstroke.
Oh, Joe and Molly, thank you very much. Fingertips, that's what it came down to. Fingertips. It was that close. It was such a tight finish. It was brilliant.
Brilliant to watch.
We will reflect more on the pool activities because there are more finals to come here on Commonwealth Games Kickoff.
Let's just say something about Tottenham here. It's a big conversation because obviously it's about trophy wins. European Cups, all of those sort of things come into it. But in the modern world, it also comes down to support base. Money is so much involved, and Spurs are a big club, full stop. Of course, we're above someone like West Ham. We have got more support.
He had you above West Ham
globally. Well, I know, but he was almost fighting with that. You could also look at a support point of view globally. We would make Chelsea look tiny. They have had more recent success. Facts, they've had more success. But we also got to think about Tottenham history. First team to do a domestic double. First team to win the European Cup.
Yes, thank you very much for tuning in to Commonwealth Games kick-off here on talkSPORT. We're going to take you straight back to the pool because the finals keep on coming. Now it's the men's 200-metre backstroke. Molly Renshaw, Joe Shannon.
What an evening it is, Natalie, here in the pool at Tollcross. A capacity crowd here to watch the men's 200-metre backstroke final. And in lane 5, Peter Kuetze. Everybody feels Molly is the swimmer to watch going into this race.
Absolutely, yeah. He picked up the gold in the 50-metre backstroke last night, and I'm sure he'll be looking to do the clean sweep across all three. But very strong prospect in lane 4, Luke Greenbank, who's a previous medalist in this event at other games. So look out for him as well.
Well, we are seconds away here. Into the pool they go. And then ready for the start of the men's 200-metre backstroke final. Kuetze with a red swimming cap on in lane 5. In with a chance of becoming only the second male swimmer in history to win all 3 backstroke events at the same Commonwealth Games. And away they go. And Kuetze gets off to a relatively strong start in the centre of the pool. Kuetze at the moment is ahead, and then it looks as though Jack Skerry of England making good progress out on the far side in lane 1. Henry Allen of Australia in lane 2. Oliver Morgan in lane 3, but at the moment Kuetze is well clear of the chasing pack as we reach the 50-metre mark in the first turn.
Yeah, he's nearly a full body length ahead of the rest of the field. So we know he's got a really strong front hand. He proved that in the 50 metres last night. So he's pulling away down this second 50. It's just whether he can hold on in the last half of the race.
Kuetze, as you say, Molly, a good length ahead of the chasing pack. Closest are the English pair at the moment. Oliver Morgan in lane 3 and Luke Greenbank in lane 4. Lagging behind in lane 8 is Isaac Thompson of Jersey, a long way back as Kuetze completes the turn at the 100-metre mark.
Yeah, another great turn. They're really maximising the turn off the underwater phase off the wall. So they're allowed 15 metres. They have to be up just before that red marker. So really making the most of that. But the 2 English boys in lanes 3 and 4 looking great, Oliver Morgan and Luke Greenbank. Luke Greenbank's such a seasoned professional in this, so really using that experience and expect a really strong last 50 here from him.
Pushing hard at the moment, Greenbank and Morgan for a medal place finish, but it is Peter Kuetze nearly 2 seconds ahead of his nearest competitors, who is racing clear and being cheered on emphatically at the moment by the crowd as we reach the final 25 metres. This is going to be Peter Kuetze's day by some distance. The South African in with a chance of becoming only the second male swimmer in history to win all 3 backstroke events at the same Commonwealth Games. That is very impressive. That is a Games record. 1 minute 54.22 seconds for Peter Kuetze, and he takes the gold in the men's 200-metre backstroke final. A very impressive swim, and well done to the 2 men from England. Oliver Morgan takes silver and Luke Greenbank the bronze.
Absolutely. One awesome swim there. He absolutely smashed the games record by over a second. So I'm sure he'll be very pleased with that. It's 2 for 2 in the backstroke event. So I'm sure he's going for gold in the 100 too.
And really, from the start of that swim, Molly, I don't think there was any doubt.
Absolutely not. Before the end of the first length, he nearly had a full body length on the English boys. But great result there. Oliver Morgan pipped silver in a 1:56.44. And Luke Greenbank picked up bronze in 1:56.58. So very tight between those two.
Well, no doubt, Natalie and Greg, that Peter Coetzer, the star of the show, he takes gold in the men's 200-metre backstroke final.
Molly and Joe, thank you very much. Peter Coetzer, he's incredible. He's broken a games record again. That's all he's done at these. I say all he's done. He's won medals to go with it, but he just consistently is breaking games record. He did it 3 times yesterday, didn't he, on the way to winning that 50-metre backstroke final, and has done it yet again.
And he dominated that race as well. That's what's really interesting. We've seen a lot of races have been very close, but to be that far ahead is really, really impressive. So he's got all of his training, all his nutrition, everything spot on for this. He's come into it and he's just, he's destroying most of his competition out there. I mean, it's incredibly impressive to watch, to see an athlete at the absolute top of their game there and doing performance night after night is incredible.
I can't imagine what it would be like to take on someone you know is just at the peak and there's nothing more you can do other than do your best, but you know your best might not be good enough.
Yeah, it's really. I think it is really, really tough. I mean, I think we look at like a Usain Bolt in athletics for many years. That, I mean, everybody knew if he was there, you're turning up for silver medal at best. And I think if you'd obviously been watching what had been happening over the last couple of days, you're going into that race going, God, he's probably got this. So, but you have to put that to the back of your mind. As an athlete, anything can happen, and you really do work on that. So, especially as a young athlete, it didn't matter that people were significantly better than me. I just thought, on the day, anything can happen. And it does happen. We saw it with Adam, of course. Now, Adam, not everybody going there. Well, I mean, it doesn't matter what's happened over the last year. He's probably going to win it still, comes over a bronze medal. So anything in sport can happen. And I think that is the beauty of it. No matter who you think is a favourite going in, at times you get it wrong. But what we're seeing there, I mean, yeah, if you just keep breaking Commonwealth Games records, it's extra difficult. Yeah. It really is.
Yeah. It's just like you're just warming up, basically. Pretty impressive then for South Africa's Peter Coetzer, who's won the 200-metre backstroke final in the last few moments. It's been a busy evening, and it's certainly been a busy 24 hours for Jersey's Philip Nowacki, a silver medalist last night. Now he's through to the final of the men's 50-metre breaststroke tomorrow, and he's been speaking to talkSPORT's John Cushing.
Here with Philip Nowacki. How was that today?
Yeah, really pleased with that swim, 27.2 in the morning, and I always struggle to come back in the afternoon in a 50 and perform just as well. It's almost like I want it too much and I tense up, so I'm really pleased to go 27.2 again and make it back for tomorrow.
What happens now between now and the final?
I think for me, just getting back to bed as soon as I can tonight, rest up, get a good night's sleep in, and then tomorrow I typically come in for a quick paddle, make sure I'm feeling good for the final.
And last night, a history-making silver medal for Jersey. How's the last 24 hours been?
Oh, it's been absolutely unreal. Honestly, I'm completely speechless, and it's a monumental achievement for me, and something I'm very proud of. Like I said, I've trained hard for that moment, and it just clicks by and flies by. So I tried to take it in as much as I could, and yeah, hopefully some more coming.
Philip Nowacki, the swimmer who yesterday said he is the future, and I love that confidence from him. So another name to look out for in that 50-metre breaststroke final tomorrow, live, of course, with us here on talkSPORT. We're still checking what's happening with the gymnastics. We're edging closer to knowing the medalists. So, Charlotte Richardson, what's happening?
Well, we're edging closer, and the nerves and tension are going up another notch. Chantea Manquin leaving it all out on the floor. She's produced a beautiful routine to fire temporarily to the top of the table, but with fierce competition to follow, Team England have to nervously wait to see if they can make the podium again. They have done in this particular event every Commonwealth Games since 2010. As I say, though, this is a really tough field. Some gymnasts there with a little bit more experience, if they can hold their nerve, then that could pay dividends. But as things stand, my fingers are firmly crossed, England could medal in this event.
Oh, brilliant news. Fingers crossed for that then. And we'll, of course, bring you confirmation of how it all ends up with the gold, silver and bronze in the all-around women's individual event. And then, of course, there's still more gymnastics to come, because then there are the actual individual apparatus finals as well, where we'll have plenty of home nations competitors going in that. Do you know what was really interesting? We mentioned Ruben Ward, who won gold for Scotland earlier on in the men's version of that all-around individual event. Do you know who was an interested spectator there?
Go on.
Gabrielle Langton.
Oh.
Which, just a reminder for those that might not have seen it, he suffered a horrific fall, actually, in the team event on Friday night. He had to go to hospital after landing on his neck. There were real concerns about him. Had to spend the night in hospital. Thankfully, was discharged yesterday with really positive news that there's no real serious injury. I'm sure plenty of bruises, but absolutely fine to be discharged into the medical care of Team England. And he decided to make his way into the arena to watch, obviously, his teammates, first of all, from England, to see if they could come away with a medal. But also, Ruben Ward would be his British teammate as well. So he was cheering him on as well. I think
That's lovely, isn't it?
Isn't it?
That's a great. I mean, I think it'd be very easy as an athlete when you're in probably quite a bit of pain, as he would have been, just to go, do you know what, I'm going to go home, take the medal and go home. But actually to be there and spot, and that shows, doesn't it? Just in gymnastics, and we've touched on it over the last couple of days, how much of a group they seem to be. And I think I'd mentioned to you off air, when you're at things like the games and the comps, they stick together as a really tight-knit group. And I think it's probably because they've known each other since they're all very, very young. Yes, and it is a sport for very young kids that get involved in it, and they go the whole way through. So it's a lovely thing. And that must have been so good for them, just to see him come in, get to celebrate they've got their silver medal, and actually know that he's okay.
I mean, the other thing with that as well, I mean, Ruben Ward was actually in tears on Friday night when he saw what had happened to Gabriel. But his coaches obviously rallied round him and said, you've got to do it now. Do it for Gab.
Yeah.
And obviously now he's come away with a medal, which is absolutely brilliant. But you're absolutely right. It also shows just how close a community it is, that regardless of, you're England, you're Wales, you're Scotland, you're Northern Ireland, we know each other. We want to support you as best as we can, because these moments don't come around very often. So it's pretty special. We heard from Adam Ramsey-Peaty earlier on after his emotional reaction to last night's bronze medal. But he has booked his spot in the men's 50-metre breaststroke final. That's coming up tomorrow. He too caught up with John Cushing.
Here with Adam Peaty after this semi-final. How was that?
Yeah, good. A lot better than yesterday. But, I guess I even said it yesterday, that is sport. It can be cruel, but it can also reward you when you least expect it. That swim there was very good process-wise. Missed a few strokes, so I think if I can, improve that tomorrow, I'll be very happy.
And I wanted to ask on behalf of the nation, how are you?
Good. I think, I've experienced, again, like I said yesterday, the highs and the lows. And unfortunately, yesterday was down with the lows. And I just said there that actually sometimes that is where perspective is important, because I did forget that I hadn't been at championships 2 years. And if I forget it, then everyone else does. And I put this expectation on myself that I should perform, but where does that come from? We have to build it. And you look at any successful athlete, any successful team in the world, they have to build to success. You don't just get over there by training well, you have to race well. So in a more positive manner, and I guess that's the skill of Adam or me, is that my bounce back ability is very quick. No more than 12 hours. You go through the 3 stages of mourning. And last night was sad, then anger, then frustration. Then actually I woke up, I was like, okay, not the end of the world, we move on. It's just a bad race.
I mean, that's what we actually touched on earlier on, the ability to be able to bounce back and have that opportunity. Not every athlete gets that. Some will only compete in one event, one race, like yourself. You only get the long jump, you get 3 jumps to start off with, but if you don't get them right, you're out. I mean, and that's the fortuitous nature of what Adam Ramsey-Peaty is in, the fact that he can go again, try and correct it.
Yeah, exactly that. And it did sound, listen to that, he sounded slightly happier, lighter almost.
Yeah.
And from what we listened to at the beginning of the show, of how upset he was. And again, some of the things he said, I think he almost certainly realised, maybe I probably should have said it like that. And that realisation, you do have it. Like, I've had exactly the same. Come over a medal which isn't a coloured one, and you go, that's a disappointment. That I've got it wrong, and it's terrible. Then you put things into perspective, and you actually go, do you know what? Like, that's actually a great medal for me. I again, live it myself. My bronze medal from the Olympics, my last ever championship medal, I was devastated. I wouldn't even look at it for the first couple of years.
Really?
And then after that, suddenly I was like, oh, now I can put it into perspective. That's probably my best ever championship performance under the circumstances. And I think we were saying that last night. When everyone came out, after this happened over the last year, he's got to be happy with that. But I think that championship mentality that he has and that winner's mindset means that at first he reacted probably not how he really felt inside. And he's had a bit of time. He's reflected. He knows he can go again, like you say. He can now channel that. He can use that energy and that frustration maybe to go out there and do something different within the 50.
And that comes tomorrow. There's been a couple of semi-finals in the women's 100-metre butterfly, so let's check in with who's made it through to the final. Joe Shannon?
Yes, 16 swimmers. The 8 fastest Nat qualify for the final, and no great surprise to see Alex Perkins of Australia leading the way in qualifying with a time of 57.16 seconds. The 2025 World Championship medalist in both the 50-metre and 100-metre fly events, and she was especially well thought of going into this 100-metre event here at the Commonwealth Games. So she qualifies fastest for the final. In second place, fellow Australian Brittany Castelluzzo, Kiana McInnes and Chiara Schlossen of Scotland in third and fourth. Erin Gallagher of South Africa in fifth. Representing Scotland, Lucy Grieve qualifies sixth, with the New Zealander Hazel Overhand and Lizzie Deckers of Australia completing that top 8. But as I say, Molly Renshaw, I don't think any of us are too surprised that Alex Perkins has finished at the top.
Absolutely not. She's backing it up from her 50 fly win last night. So another great performance from her. No surprise to see 2 Aussies in the centre lanes again tomorrow. But great swim from the Scottish girls as well. That was a PB there for Cara Schlossem, and she's really put herself in a good contention of a medal now tomorrow.
OK, Nat, so that is the result of the women's 100-metre butterfly semi-finals. And next up in the pool, we have the men's 50-metre freestyle final in and around 9 o'clock or so.
Brilliant. Joe, Molly, thank you very much. You might have heard shouting in the background. That's because they're about to have a medal ceremony. So that's why that was all in the background. Everything's fine. It's all good. Right, we will be back then for that 50-metre free final for you on the Commonwealth Games on talkSPORT with BYD. Dare to Dream with BYD and the Commonwealth Games.
Arsenal,
Chelsea can't win a league.
If Arsenal don't win it, I think Chelsea, with Xabi Alonso,
No.
Chelsea need to be one of the teams dreaming. One of the teams, look, a front line of Pedro, Esteval, Palmer, Rodgers is capable of scoring enough goals to win the league. If we now bring in Lacroix, bring in John Stones, sign a new goalkeeper, all of a sudden you're looking at a team with 1 game to play a week. You're looking at a team that could potentially win a league title.
Mate, you're talking guff.
No, that's not. That's
you're not
very rational chap.
Rory, you're not winning the league.
Yes, this Sunday evening, it's day 3 of the Commonwealth Games. Thank you very much for tuning in to our kickoff show this evening. We've got more finals to come from the pool. We're checking in what's happening in the gymnastics as well, as we are getting ever so closer to knowing who's going to come away with the medals in the women's all-around individual event. But there's also just a small matter of the PDC World Darts match play that's taking place right now. It's live for you over on talkSPORT 2, so let's check in with that final. Mark Wilson.
58. Yeah, Luke Littler is closing in on back-to-back world match play titles. He's a Welshman going Price by 14 legs to 5. He raced into an early 7-3 lead and then reeled off 4 on the spin. He was 11-3 up at one point. Price did make it back-to-back legs, but Littler pulling away again. Race to 18 here. I guess the only thing left to determine is whether Luke Littler can break Phil Taylor's tournament record average. It's all live right now over on talkSPORT 2. Littler leads Price by 14 legs to 5.
Mark, thank you very much. As I mentioned, we're waiting to see what's going to happen in this all-around women's individual event in the gymnastics. So Charlotte Richardson has all the latest details.
2 more athletes remain. Ruby Evans next, then Ellie Black of Canada. So we will know shortly whether Shantae Amankwa on her Commonwealth Games debut has done enough to secure a medal. Brianna Scott of Australia has pretty much ensured a medal with a fine final performance on the floor. It is really, really tense now as the medal positions await for these final 2 athletes to complete.
Brilliant. Charlotte, thank you very much. We'll bring you the final details then as and when they emerge. But taking you back into the pool then, Swim England Sports Development Director Ali Wyke joined talkSPORT Sunday Edition this morning to discuss the future of swimming and the impact the lack of funding could have on the sport.
We want as many people to learn to swim as possible, not just because we want people to go on and win medals such as Georgia did yesterday in the games record and Will as well, but because we believe in it as something that actually helps you to be a healthier person and also helps you to be safe and confident in and around water as well, which we know at this point in time is so important. But that's just one component of it. You mentioned National Lottery there. National Lottery, £9 billion worth of investment into sports since its inception is a tremendous amount of money, about £33 million on a weekly basis that goes into sport and great causes. And without that, you wouldn't actually get the athletes coming through as well, which would hopefully inspire the next generation of people coming into the sport.
But we do have a problem in this country, I suppose, with swimming pools closing down. I know certainly of 2 in my area which have closed down. It's hard to maintain. There's a lot of money required. And as Henry says, if we can get winners in the pool now, it may inspire local authorities maybe to say we really do need our swimming pools.
I think the opportunities such as the Commonwealth Games, certainly the profile across Britain is so important to encourage that focus on the importance around facilities and getting access to facilities, I suppose, is the important thing. We know that there are local authorities all around the country working extremely hard to increase the number of people that are learning to swim. But as you say, if we keep losing the facilities, we don't have the access and the opportunity at that stage. So it's absolutely crucial, I think, that we encourage government to invest into facilities because we know that they're so important, not just for the sporting part, but for the health of the nation as well.
Ali Wyke, Swim England Sports Development Director, who joined talkSPORT earlier. Really interesting what he had to say there, especially about the facilities that are on offer to the younger generation, the generations that we hope will get into this sport, something that Molly Renshaw was able to do. And Molly joins us now. I mean, Molly, just tell us about your journey and how easy or not was it?
I guess my parents just from a very young age just wanted me to be very safe in the water, learn to swim, and I think that's a great place for anyone to start. It's such an important life skill to have, and I express this so much and I'm very passionate about this. But I was quite lucky. I had a pretty smooth journey through kind of club swimming into county level and then eventually moving on to Loughborough where we have amazing facilities. But I know that there is an issue now of a lot of leisure centres shutting down, which it does surprise me. I do a lot of kind of swim clinics where it's actually really hard to find pool time, and I know clubs find it difficult to find pool time too. So it's obviously very popular. I think the participation in swimming is increasing year on year, and as a nation, we're probably at the strongest point we've ever been at in terms of the names we have in swimming. We have your Adam Peaty's, your Duncan Scotts, your James Guys, and I'd like to think that they've really kind of made a standing point for swimming, and I'd love to see that kind of, I guess, translate into kind of lower level participation and learn to swim programs and things like that.
Well, I certainly would love to see more of that. That is for sure. Just some of the things we want to talk to you about, Molly, if that's right, if we've got the time. With regards to some things that have been said, we heard from Adam Ramsey Peaty there after securing his spot in that 50-metre breaststroke final tomorrow. He said something about missed a few strokes. Now, again, for the layperson, I'm thinking, how does that happen? What does he mean by that?
So it could be a number of things. So typically, I was a breaststroke swimmer too, so I feel like I do understand this. So typically over 100, 200 or even the 50 breaststroke, you know how many strokes you need to hit per length. So for me, I knew I had to hit 14 strokes, 15 strokes, 16 strokes, and then finishing on around 18. So he will typically know like when he did his best time, how many strokes he did during that length. So it could be that he maybe missed a stroke or he added another stroke in and he knows that's not kind of optimal for his performance.
Right.
Or it could also mean that, especially on the sprint events, because you're upping your speed so much, you do tend to sometimes slip the water a little bit. So there might have been a few strokes where he felt like he didn't quite get the grip on the water that he needed, which then could also result in him doing a few more strokes too.
All right, just checking it's not like, he just took a little break for a moment. As
It
I
didn't
would
look
do.
like it.
No,
Yeah,
exactly.
gripping the water as well. I think it's a great way of explaining gripping the water.
Yes.
I definitely can't do that.
In future, when I'm doing my only stroke, which is the breaststroke, and it's not very good, I will be gripping it, that's for sure. Something else I noticed early on when some of the swimmers were using that warm-up pool, is that what we call it?
Yeah.
Flippers. Why would someone be
You've
using...
been loving this tonight, the
I just
flippers.
don't understand why anyone would be using flippers.
Oh, Natalie, I lived in my fins. Like, I barely took them
I
off.
love that you call them fins. I call them flippers.
Flippers. Yeah, no, I don't know. I feel like for me, my fins were a safety blanket. It was kind of every warm-up, every swim down, where I wasn't doing breaststroke, I'd have my fins on.
Is it to conserve energy? Is that the idea behind it? So you're not having to work as hard through the water, so you put the fins on. I'm going to call them fins
Yeah, I know, now we know.
Is that the idea behind it?
Yeah, I guess so. Part of it maybe was because I was a little bit lazy and I hated freestyle, so it made it a little bit easier for me. But yeah, I guess for warm-ups and swim downs, it just makes it a little bit easier. You obviously take them off and you feel pretty terrible in the water. But yeah, really common piece of kit. I'd use it most days for most of my meterage, to be honest.
It's not just that, though. There's snorkels. I was poolside in the Tokyo Olympics.
Yeah.
And there were snorkels and floats available as well, which to me... I had no idea. It just looked like somebody having a bit of fun at the swimming pool, to be totally honest. So is that the same idea? You can just sort of get your head down quite literally with a snorkel on, swim with your fins, and also have a flotation device. Is that right? Sort of save energy?
Yeah, I guess they all kind of serve a different purpose. So as a swimmer, you have a kit bag which will have your fins in, your snorkel, a kickboard, a pool buoy, and also paddles that wear on our hands. And they all kind of serve a different purpose, whether you want to work your upper body a little bit harder, your lower body. Your snorkel allows you to do we wear snorkels for a lot of technical work, so it takes away that element of having to focus on breathing, so you can really think about what your hand's doing in the water, what your legs are doing, like the position, how you can hold as much water as possible. So a lot of them are more kind of technical aids, but yeah, we take our kit bags everywhere. Like I said, fins are very popular. Kickboards for a little bit of social kick at the end is a fan favourite too.
Nat's been loving the fins. We've literally talked about it, I reckon, 3 or 4 times now. I want to ask Molly about the fins.
Yes.
The fins.
And I was just saying, if only they had the fins, they might have finished a bit quicker. I don't know how well they work, but I know you can't use them in obviously competitive racing and everything. But
sadly not.
No, but I just marvelled at it. I was like, I couldn't believe all that. What were you going to? Was there something about Adam Ramsey-Peaty?
What I was going to say as well, because obviously, Molly, you know Adam really, really well. And we were discussing, I don't know if you heard us earlier on the show, we were discussing about the things that he was sort of saying, and he was being quite sort of flippant, if you like, about the comms. I never keep any of my medals, only the Olympics. And obviously, you'll know him really, really well. Do you think that's just for him at the time of being a little bit upset with what he felt like could have been a better performance? And I think he's been quite open saying that. Or is it he just doesn't care, but do you know what I mean?
They're not as much a priority.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think it's a combination. It was obviously a very raw and emotional interview. I've seen a few of them over the past 24 hours. So there's clearly a lot of anger and a lot of emotion behind what he said. I don't think he meant it as flippantly as it probably came across. Every medal is super important, like you mentioned, Greg. My first international medal was at the Commonwealth Games in 2014, and for me that was such a special memory, and it's a medal my parents still have on the wall in their house. So it's a tough one, because for so many people that could be the pinnacle of their career. So yeah, I think it was a little bit of raw emotion, maybe not necessarily thinking too much before he spoke.
One other thing on the technical side, so I just want to read, because it just popped back into my head again. I was listening earlier on to the TNT coverage, and they were talking about, I can't remember who was on it, they were talking about in qualifications and semis, swimmers tend not to hold back anything so it doesn't interfere with their race plan in the way of assessing So if they go out hard, they know exactly what to do in the final to make any changes. Whereas a lot of other sports, you might ease off a little bit. So when we are watching times come in and maybe they're not as fast, is that it's not a case maybe of them holding back? Is it purely just then to work on technical things?
It's a mixed bag, to be honest. I think if you know you can fairly comfortably make it through the round, you can almost play around with your tactics a little bit. So for me, for example, in the last year of my career, my focus was always about how fast can I be to 150 meters. So in those kind of practice rounds, in the heats or out other competitions, you can kind of play around and see how fast you could go out in that 50 and then maybe back off on the last length. And we saw that from Lani Pallister in the 400 freestyle heat. She really drove it out on the third 100 and then completely switched off on the last 100. So it's a mixed bag. Some people know they need to be on top form in the heats to make it through, especially in the 200s here. There's no semi-finals like there are at other meets. So when the 200 and above, you probably have to put a bit more pressure on yourself in the heats to make sure you're within that top 8. But if you're comfortably making it through, you do tend to see people kind of playing around with technical aspects of their heats too.
Okay, Molly, really appreciate that. You're teaching us every day. We learn something new from Molly. It's brilliant. Thank you, Molly. I know there are a few more finals to come for Molly to join Joe Shannon on for this evening, but it is all over in the gymnastics. So how did it finish, Charlotte Richardson?
Oh, Natalie, I wish I had really positive news for you, but for the first time since 2010, there is no English medalist on the Commonwealth podium for the all-round. But Shantae Amankwa is a name to note. The 17-year-old dazzled last night in the team event and pushed all the way on her Commonwealth individual debut. She finishes 4th in a talented field, and some would say that's a really heartbreaking place to complete. But for this rising star, an incredible display. She demonstrated outstanding composure and execution across all 4 apparatus. Ellie Black, the 2018 champion, wins gold again. Brianna Scott of Australia takes silver, and Leah Monica Fontaine of Canada bronze. No medals for the home nations, but plenty of young talent who are going to squeeze so much valuable experience from this. And let's not forget Team England, who will be taking a bronze back after their conquest last night in the team event.
Oh, brilliant. Charlotte, thank you very much. I mean, Shantae Amankwa was only 17.
I know.
Crikey.
Again, reiterates the importance of these games. I'm going to keep saying it for anybody that doubts it.
I'm with you.
That you've heard it here first, and it's a name that we'll be hearing for many years to come, and it started off at the Commonwealth Games.
Indeed. Right. We're heading into the final hour. God, it's gone quick as already,
I'm
hasn't
glad I
it?
didn't realise.
Final hour of Commonwealth Games kick-off on talkSPORT.
I think that was the key with Mateus Fernandes as well. They walked away from that deal, obviously went to Tottenham for 85 million, A, because they thought the price was a bit excessive, but B, they never really got the impression the player was fully invested in the project. And I think they only want people who want to play for Manchester United. You look at Mateus Cunha and Brian Mbumo last summer, they had offers from elsewhere, could have been playing Champions League football. They both made it abundantly clear from the start they wanted this move to Old Trafford, and that's the type of character you want in the dressing room.
Absolutely.
Here's a dilemma for you. Would you sell? Bear in mind, they need some money. They need money.
If you're going to say Bruno Fernandes, the answer is no chance.
Would you sell him, Bruno Fernandes, at
no chance.
32?
No.
Would you not cash in 100 million?
21 assists last season. Wears the captain's armband. Been the best player by a country mile since Sir Alex Ferguson.
This is Commonwealth Games kick-off this Sunday evening on talkSPORT. You're in the company of me, Natalie Sawyer, and Greg Rutherford, Olympian, what are you, a Commonwealth Games?
It's tragic. I don't think it has its own name. Commonwealther. We're all Commonwealthers, eh?
Well, that is actually true. Oh, I can walk around saying that.
We can have that. Well, we all have. If you've been to the Olympics, you get to put OLY at the end. You know that came in a few years back. So every Olympian ever,
No way.
across the world, this is not British, across the world, gets to put Ollie at the end.
Oh my goodness. Well, I have to talk more about that. I didn't... And it's Ollie.
Ollie. Well, OLY, yeah.
Okay. Greg Rutherford, OLY. Let's cross back to the pool because we've got another final to bring you. It's the men's 50-metre freestyle. Molly Renshaw, Joe Shannon.
Yeah, this one will be speedy, no doubt about it, and the crowd are really looking forward to it here at the swimming centre in the Tollcross area of Glasgow. And the hot favourite is the Aussie Cameron McAvoy, the world record holder, Olympic champion, world champion. Hard to believe he's still searching for a first individual Commonwealth title, but is this the moment for him in lane 3? Towards the far end as we look at it. And they are away, and McAvoy is out of the blocks pretty quickly here. McAvoy is the leader, it would seem, powering through the water. He's being cheered to the rafters at the moment, and it looks as though he's going to win this by some distance out in lane 3 towards the far side. It's McAvoy all the way. He takes the gold. For him, the personal wait is over. Finally, he has a first individual title at the Commonwealth Games. Cameron McAvoy in a Games record 20.97 seconds, and it is an Aussie 1, 2, 3. Flynn Southam the silver, Jamie Jack the bronze, but Molly, it is all about Cam McAvoy.
What a swim. I was saying before, on the 50 it's usually quite hard to call and you just have to keep an eye on the scoreboard, but from about halfway he was about half a body length ahead, which is so rare to see in these shorter events. But awesome swim. He had such a quick reaction time. He's 0.1 faster on the reaction time, which is crazy. So straight up into it. He didn't do too much underwater, which is it's a different approach on the sprint events, but it definitely works for him.
And a Games record 20.97 seconds. Just give us a sense of just how quick that is over 50 metres.
Oh, it's crazy, and he's moved this event on so much already this year. He broke the world record earlier this year. I think that's only about 1/10 of his world record. So awesome swim from him. He's a very methodical and very he likes his numbers. He does a very different training approach to kind of your typical sprinter. So it's really paying off for him. You know, he's a little bit older and a little bit later in his career now. And like you said, his first individual Commonwealth title. But yeah, everything he does at the minute just seems to be paying off.
So, Nat, it is an Aussie 1, 2, 3 in the men's 50-metre freestyle, but no doubt who was quickest across the water. Cam McAvoy takes the gold.
Oh, well, we were waiting for it, the first 1, 2, 3 for Australia. It took a while, but they got there in the end. A terrific swim, though, from Cameron McAvoy, who also is the 50-metre, we should say, Paris champion too. So
remarkable athlete.
World record holder, as Molly was telling us to. I mean, it was kind of in some ways written that he should win this one, but it doesn't always work that way. I realise.
No, do you know what I do? The only reason I like the fact that it was an Australia 1, 2, 3 is that some of the press then just go the old Aussie, oi, oi, oi. And I've been waiting for that because that's what I think the Australians have been waiting to print it. So, yeah, I saw some of that earlier, so that's great. And I quite like that myself. I think it's just very, very classic, very...
So,
yeah,
I like that.
Very on my level, I think that's what it is. Unintelligent.
I have learned that pretty quickly, that the bar is low. Mr. Greg Rutherford, OLY. I didn't know that was a thing. I think that's so cool.
Yeah. Do you know what? I really like that. He's one of those ones where it just got sent out to absolutely everybody. So you'd have seen.
Is it just medalists or anyone that's competed?
No, anybody. If you've been to it, because you're an Olympian, right? So anybody goes to the Olympics is an Olympian. So you now get to be OLY.
I love that.
Which is nice.
That is nice.
Because obviously not every country also gets sort of things from the obviously King, Queen, or whatever.
Of course, yeah.
In the Commonwealth, you can get them, of course, but the US don't get anything like MPs or knights or anything, but they do get an Ollie.
Love that. Let's talk more reaction, shall we, from the pool, because Team Australia are doing really, really well. But earlier on, Iona Anderson won the women's 100-metre backstroke to add to the medal tally for the Aussies. Aussie. She spoke to talkSPORT's John Cushing.
Here with Iona Anderson, Commonwealth Games champion. How's that?
That was pretty surreal. I'm just, over the moon with that performance. So I was really happy to get my hand on the wall tonight.
It was tight at the end, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was just so happy I didn't screw up my finish. I know my coach may have killed me a little. He goes on about my finishes in training. So I was really happy to get there in the end and just have the long touch.
And a family connection here in Scotland.
Yeah, so all my family's heritage is Scottish, and my grandparents were here tonight, so it was really special to be able to do this performance in front of them.
And the fact that you've done so well, Australia, we were asking the question, why are Australians so good at swimming? Can you explain it to us?
Oh, I'm not sure, maybe it's just something in the water. So you have to come and see for yourself.
Iona Anderson there in great spirits, and we watched her obviously after that medal ceremony because we are watching it on our big screen here. Everyone is given a mascot like you would have had obviously when you've won your countless medals. But
a long time ago.
Finny the unicorn, and we saw that she gave it to an older lady who was sat just actually not in the stands. I think she's sort of in the disabled looking so it looked section. Yeah. Clearly must be her grandmother, which is so sweet.
It's beautiful. She was crying her eyes out with like tears of joy, and we were both watching at the time, just like, oh. And that, again, it's those moments, isn't it? And that's also, I guess, quite nice, especially I guess with the Australian connection. Often, a lot of them have some form of connection back to the UK because obviously historically it was a lot of Brits that were sent down to Australia. And you see that the whole time. So when they do come over to Europe, it's actually a big advantage in a lot of the sports because obviously Australia's a very long way away. When they then come over to Europe for training camps and things, often they can just go stay with family, which is a really nice thing for them. So to have your elderly grandma there able to watch you and then experience that winning as well.
Yeah.
And the finish was beautiful. I even wrote a note earlier. It's like she just looked like she was accelerating that last 5 meters or so through the water. It was brilliant to see. So what a proud moment. Lovely.
Really proud. And then she gave her grandmother that Finny, the mascot, which I'd love to get my hands on one of them. They're cute.
I wouldn't mind one for my daughter. She would absolutely lose her mind for that. She would love it. Absolutely. Although also, I feel like if I owned it, she probably could have competed for Scotland. So the Scots probably aren't thrilled about that.
But equally, you sort of think, oh, yeah, cheer a little bit of a cheer because she has some connection, maybe. But it has been a terrific evening, as we pointed out, in the pool for Australia. I think now it's 11 medals just tonight that they have won. And England not doing too badly. 3 medals in the pool this evening. Scotland took a gold, as we were hearing from Angharad Evans. And then South Africa also with 3 medals to name those 3. Northern Ireland also got a medal. So it's been a really good evening so far. A real mixed bag of where the medals have ended up. The question now is, who won that World Darts match play? Let's find out right now with Mark Wilson.
Yeah, the great Luke Littler won the World Darts match play. Big going price by 18 legs to 9. He got off to a flying start. He was 11-3 up at one stage. And credit to Price, who did get back to 15-9, winning 4 of 5 legs. But then a 3-leg burst at the end for Littler. 5-ton plus checkouts, an array of bull finishes. He averaged 111.53 on the night. Tournament average over 111, which is a match play record. It has simply been a phenomenal week. It's his 8th major title in succession. He remains on target to complete the calendar clean sweep. Will he go on and do it? You wouldn't bet against it. It is Littler who wins in Blackpool for the 2nd time, the 4th player behind Taylor Harrington and Michael van Gerwen to defend the crown successfully. He's been going price by 18 legs to 9.
Brilliant, Mark. Thank you very much. And he looks absolutely ecstatic to be lifting that trophy once more. A couple of more finals to bring you up to speed with in the pool before we draw to a close this evening on what is day 3 of these Commonwealth Games.
Jack Grealish.
Yep.
Also going to be back at Man City.
Yep.
Next season.
It'd be interesting to see what happens with Jack if he's given a chance by Maresca, because he would have been part of that Man City squad that Maresca was at, Or will the manager think, no? And will Jack think, you know what, maybe I want to move on? I think it's still early doors. I think we have to see what happens over the next 6 weeks. You know, still 6 weeks left of the transfer window. Start of September, it closes. I don't see him staying there. I see him moving on. It wouldn't surprise me if he...
As we've seen in most evenings in the pool of these Commonwealth Games, they tend to end with a relay. We'll bring you details of the men's 4x200 free relay when that one gets underway. But currently, the women's 1,500 metre freestyle final is taking place. As you can imagine, that's quite lengthy, but we're going to just dip into our commentary team. Molly Renshaw and Joe Shannon.
Well, nearly a third of the way through the women's 1,500 metre freestyle final, and Lani Pallister is absolutely romping clear at the moment. The Australian has a lead of at least 10 metres, possibly more, you'd have to say, over her closest competition. That is Erica Fairweather of New Zealand, currently in second place. Molly Walker of Australia in third. But this is Pallister's race, a big meet, of course, here for her at the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow. She's already won the 400 metre freestyle, and she's the favourite in the 800 metre freestyle as well. So potentially as many as 3 individual medals coming her way over the course of these games. And it is worth noting that her mum has done that herself. Janelle Elford winning 3 medals in the pool at the 1990 Games in Auckland. So, like mother, like daughter, and Lani Pallister is streets ahead here at the moment, Molly.
Yeah, she's looking great. She's barely even using her legs yet, but she's probably about 15 metres ahead of the rest of the field. So she really is racing this one on her own. She's dropped off the pace a little bit. She was under the world record splits for the first 500 metres and just dipping slightly over that now, but she looks very relaxed. She's breathing every 2, keeping an eye on where she is in the field. Obviously, absolutely miles ahead, but her coach is cheering her on from the side, and she's looking really strong at this point.
Just how difficult is it to keep up this level of pace over what is a swim that is going to last about 16 minutes or so?
It's really difficult, but, you know, this is what they practice day in, day out in training, and I think coming into this, Lani will have known that it'll probably be her race and her race alone. And it's a long time to be swimming out there on your own, you know, like 15 minutes this race will take. So, but she'll have been practicing this. She has training partners at the competition with her, and they'll do a lot of kind of race pace training. So she'll know kind of what she needs to be hitting per 100. Although she can't see the time in the pool, but she'll have a good feel of where she's at.
700 metres now completed by Lani Pallister, a time of 7 minutes 13.18 seconds, and she is streets ahead, a lead of 20-30 metres over her nearest competition, and it is surely going to be gold, barring a major collapse in the women's 1,500 metre freestyle final for Pallister of Australia, Nat.
Joe and Molly, for now, thank you very much. I know they train for it, so I can't compare, but I don't think I'd concentrate for that long doing the same thing over and over.
Yeah, surely you have to sort of zone out.
I don't know how they do that.
Yeah, I think when I was doing longer swims, I used to think about football transfers, actually. I used to imagine who the team could buy and do all that sort of stuff when you get ready for the long one. And I imagine they have to do exactly the same. You think about swimming as well. Swimming has like a history for the training of up really, really early and swimming for ages. Yeah. Even if you're like a sprinter, they seem to swim for hours and hours. So you have to be pretty good just getting into your own ear. Because Molly was saying, obviously, yesterday, they don't use the in-ear communication that much.
No.
So, yeah, it's...
But it's also that thing of, it sounds ridiculous, I know it might be obvious, but when do you know you're finished? I think I'd lose count.
Surely somebody taps you on the head.
Well,
do you reckon?
With what? The net? Just trying to poke you with it?
That sounds like a brilliant joke. If that is the case, somebody with a pole, just as you get to go for your last... No, knock you on the head, and then, go from there. That's your sign to stop.
I mean, it's brilliant. Obviously, I think it's amazing that people can do this for this amount of time. But like I said, I just don't think I have that concentration in me, especially now we live in the digital age of our phones and everything, and everyone's concentration spans has dwindled.
Yeah.
I think it's incredible what they do. But obviously you're having to count the laps as you go. I
Are you?
imagine. Well, how else
You
would
just
you
pulled
know?
out the I don't know. Well, yeah, I guess.
Because you don't want to finish early.
It's a long time though, isn't it?
Nobody
Like,
likes
it's a lot
that.
of times tapping the wall. I don't know. We need to. Where's get Molly on? We need to ask her what's happening here.
Molly, save that one, Molly. We'll come back to you on that question. That is for sure. But the pool has been busy this evening, as it has been for the last couple of evenings here on Commonwealth Games kickoff. And earlier on, Team England's Ollie Morgan won silver. Luke Greenback bronze in the men's 200 backstroke final. They both spoke to John Cushing.
So here I am with silver medalist Ollie Morgan and bronze medalist Luke Greenbank. Your initial reactions?
Yeah, pretty happy with silver in there. Yeah, it's been a tough week so far. 4 races deep now. Well, 5 races deep now. So yeah, it'd be nice to have a day off tomorrow and reset for the 100.
Because it's always a silver medal is always an achievement, or sometimes it's a disappointment. No one really knows. That's why we asked the question.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy with that time. Training's been difficult the last few months, just dealing with injuries and things. So yeah, it's just been about coming here in the best shape I can, and yeah, hopefully we can build on that, one through the rest of the week into Europeans, and then yeah, start fresh again in September and go from there.
And Luke, how are you feeling?
The time was quite a bit slower than I was hoping for and probably expecting, but it's my first individual Commonwealth medal, so I'm not gonna be upset with that. Glad to be on the podium, and these guys were fantastic today, and yeah, all credit to them.
So interesting. Just keeping an eye on this current race that's happening right now. The crazy thing with this is that there's a coach on the sidelines.
He's miles away.
She's not glancing up. So how is he going? I don't know what message he's trying to give her, but apart from go, keep going.
But that's what he was doing, exactly that. He was sort of waving his arm in the direction of movement and shouting something. But do you know what they need? In ears. This is, I mean, we're on to saying here.
Yeah, I don't even know why that would be seen as something they I mean, listen, I understand that there's they might see it as you're giving people an unfair advantage and you're giving them information they shouldn't have. But if everyone has it, then it's fair game.
Racing driving, you have exactly that, don't you? They're all out there, they all have comms in their ears telling them what they're doing, where they're going, etc. I think as long as everybody has it, and I'm sure there'd be a way of having a system that when you go to something like Commonwealth Games, they have it's sort of in-house. They give the headphones over, where I guess they'd be very much in-ear, I imagine. And then you could have that communication. Not as aerodynamic. No. That might be a bit of drag. But no, I feel like if you do need to get something across, especially as we're looking at 15 minutes of being in the pool, then something like that could be quite a useful way of communicating.
Well, yeah, especially, I mean, if you're leading so comfortably as we're sort of seeing right now, you might be on for a world record, but you don't know it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be nice to know in your ear? And not that you're going to ever take your foot off the gas, essentially, because you want to win a race, but the idea of actually breaking a world record too would be nice to know in your ear that you're not far off it.
Think about rowing and having a cox. You've got somebody there screaming at you, and I like one of those things I love doing is listening to the sort of audio playback of, say, an Olympics or some form of gala with a cox shouting at the rowers, and the things they say to them, these motivational quotes that come out, I think are absolutely brilliant. And you could do the same thing.
Yeah,
have the swimming version of a cox who's then telling you push now and whatever else, because they're not letting up. They're still working as hard as they can. But
no, absolutely.
It's a rhythm thing, isn't it?
Well, it certainly is. Let's take you back to this final then. Lani Pallister is so far in front. It's just been an absolute stroll for her. But Molly Renshaw and Joe Shannon can provide more details.
1,250 metres. Lani Pallister absolutely streets ahead. 16.23 seconds at the last count, ahead of Erica Fairweather of New Zealand in second. Molly Walker of Australia is in third, but this is all about Pallister, a lead of 30 metres or so from her closest competition. She's being roared on at the moment by the Aussie coach Dean Boxall, who's got long curly hair. He's pounding his chest and screaming out at Pallister as she continues this remarkable swim. He is one of the most passionate figures you are likely to see poolside anywhere, Molly.
Absolutely, yeah. He's very well known for his passion for his swimmers, especially around Olympic Games. But it'll be really useful for Lani at this point. You know, you can see she's breathing every two towards the coach's pen, and he will give a good indication of how she's doing in the race. And he could give signals as to whether cheering her on, or he could encourage her to start using her legs. Like we can see here, she still looks fairly comfortable. Her leg kick isn't too, she's not driving that too much. So, but yeah, this lead is so impressive. Erica Fairweather back in second, just turning at the 1,350 metre mark.
Yes, less than 150 metres to go now for Pallister in that yellow swim cap, and she is undaunted by the extraordinary athleticism of the task, and indeed her lead appears to be extending. You can hear the ring of the bell. 100 metres to go. That'll be a sound to give great relief to Lani Pallister and the rest, no doubt.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's the sound that they crave for 15 minutes straight. So you can see here Dean on the side, he's starting to use his arms to indicate for her to start using those legs, really start driving down this last 100.
She absolutely is driving towards the right-hand side of the pool as we look at it, and then there will be only 50 metres left to complete. It is the women's 1,500 metre freestyle final at the 2026 Commonwealth Games. Live for you on talkSPORT. Lani Pallister, who has already won the 400 metre freestyle. She has the 800 metres set in her sights as well. And this has been an absolute triumph of a swim from the Australian. She's being roared home by the crowd here in Glasgow. Pallister, peerless, and she gets the job done and wins gold for Australia by a distance. 15 minutes, 41.03 seconds, and the rest are only just catching up. That is a remarkable swim, a remarkable gold medal for Pallister. Fairweather takes silver, Fairweather of New Zealand, and the Australian Walker the bronze. But really, it was a Pallister procession from the very off here at Tollcross.
Absolutely, yeah. You can see she gained about a body length within the first 50, so she was really out there to do business tonight. But the crazy thing is she's still 20 seconds off Katie Ledecky's world record, which if you put her in the pool is just crazy.
That record could well stand for a very, very, I think you said it was 2018.
Yeah,
that record has been held. Hard to see it being beaten, but an extraordinary achievement for Pallister, and it may not be the last that we see of her at this Commonwealth Games.
Absolutely not. She's had a great start. She's picked up 2 golds in the 400 and the 1500 now, and she picked up a silver last night in the 200 free, so really busy schedule for her, and I'm sure she's got the 800 gold in her sights as well.
So Natalie, Molly Walker of Australia the bronze, Erica Fairweather from New Zealand the silver, but gold goes to the Aussie Lani Pallister.
Joe, thank you very much. Molly, we want to come back to you. Forgive us for these terrible questions that we ask you. But how on earth do they concentrate for that long?
Oh, I wouldn't actually know. I've never actually swam a 1500. But I think in a race it's very different. You kind of always have something to concentrate on. Like I said earlier, I always knew what stroke, how many counts I had to do per length. So for me, I would be counting every single stroke that I did. So that would keep my brain pretty busy. But in these longer events, I honestly don't know. My mind in training would go to some crazy places. I'd be singing songs. I'd be thinking about where I'm going to go on holiday.
Oh, I'm glad that you keep it real.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, I like that. I mean, the other thing as well, you talked about her schedule. It just seems quite relentless. What would she be doing in between? Because you can't really be doing much more in the pool, surely.
Yeah, she'll just be very recovery focused, so she'll be making the most of those swim downs. The Australian team usually bring an army of physios with them, so there's always about 5 or 6 on the physio beds getting massages at one time, using ice baths, getting home, getting some food in, getting some good sleep, just doing everything she can to really optimise that recovery, because she's back in pretty much every morning doing a heat swim, then into the finals every day. So it's a really tough schedule for her.
relentless, isn't it?
It is. I mean, do you not sometimes think you're overworked?
Definitely, especially with the freestyle events. You know, they range from 50 all the way up to 1500. So there's just such a scope. And if you're able to go like Lani from the 200 all the way up to the 1500, plus the relays, and Australia are just so dominant across women and men's freestyle. So yeah, such a busy schedule for her. I'm sure she'll be happy to see the end of this week.
Where does the energy come from? You think if you can go from the 200 all the way up to the 1500?
I know.
I can't comprehend the idea. There's so much swimming.
Yes, but that's what I'm saying. They're overworked. Clearly,
Absolutely
they need to take a break. The Australians, in particular. Molly, thank you. I know you've got to concentrate on the men's 4x200 free relay that's coming up shortly. But you're absolutely right. I don't know how they do it. It's incredible. But I mean, they train for it, and I'm sure that's the basics. But yeah,
it just shows they're phenomenal athletes. I mean, like that is the big thing that comes out. I mean, we laugh and everything else, but in actual fact, it is unbelievable.
It is.
For I think anybody who's ever swam a bit, you think to go at the speeds that they travel at, the amount of time, but then to do it day in, day out, heats, semis, finals. I mean, yeah, beyond me.
Yeah,
my body is not built for that.
Kudos to them all. That is for sure. We will bring you that men's 4x200 metre free, or certainly the best bits of it and the result as and when. But we'll take a break now as we head into the final half hour of Commonwealth Games kickoff.
If it is true, that is the one for Tottenham, the one that got away. If you think about what Abramovich did to Chelsea, did to Premier League football, did to world football, he was a benefactor.
He turned you into a
monster. Yeah, he turned us into a monster.
Yeah, he did, because you wasn't a big club before him. It was an average size club.
I mean, we certainly, if you want to do this, which I don't suggest you should, but if you want to do this, in the 10 years prior to Abramovich, Chelsea won more than you've won in the Premier League era.
Up the shells.
In the 10 years.
Honestly, you and Cundy.
In the 10 years, because you can't let it go.
Yeah, it's been a really, really busy evening here on Commonwealth Games kick-off. We've had plenty of medals being won in the pool, but there's one more that is up for grabs. It's the men's 4x200 metre free relay. It's underway, so let's hand you over to Molly Renshaw and Joe Shannon.
Well, this is really exciting, and the crowd are really getting into this already. Wales lead the way, only just 0.08 of a second ahead of Australia in second, and England, who were leading at the start of this race, down into third. The teamwork, of course, epitomised by the men's 4x200 metre freestyle relay. This is the final, and this is set to be one of the most closely contested events that we've seen all evening, I think, Molly.
Absolutely, yeah. And as a nation, as a Team GB, this is our, like, creme de la creme. This is our event. The boys have won this at the Olympic Games twice, back to back. So Matt Richards going out for Wales is a really good start. He's part of that Olympic gold team. So no surprise to see them up first. For Team England, we have Gabriel Shepherd on the first leg.
As they approach the first 200-metre mark, and now the changeover takes place, and it's Wales who remain with the advantage by 0.66 of a second ahead of Australia as Dan Jones takes over in the transition. Molly, I mean, obviously a clean transition is so important in a race like this, but how difficult is it for the next swimmer coming in to keep up the momentum of the previous swimmer?
Yeah, it's huge, and from the takeovers that you do on relays, you get like what we call a rolling start. So you get a little bit more momentum, but it's such a precise timing thing to get right, and we want the reaction time to be as low as possible. And with that rolling start, you get a bit more kind of force off the diver than you would from a standing start. So really using that momentum off the block, but we see Dan Jones of Wales just slipping back a little bit, and England and Australia in the centre lanes coming through.
Absolutely. Australia lead the way in lane 4 from England in lane 3. Wales dropping down to 3rd in lane 6. And at the moment, this looks like a straight fight between Australia and England. We are 3 minutes nearly into this race, the men's 4x200 metre freestyle relay final, and a gold medal up for grabs here at the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow. 350 metres through, and Australia still have a narrow lead over England, and the gap between England and Wales is starting to open up, and I have to say, very demonstrative, very excited. The coaches on the far side of the pool as they urge their teams on. Still, it is Australia with the narrow advantage in the pool at the moment. For them is Harrison Turner, England's Tom Dean just behind, and now we have the latest takeover as Australia send Edward Somerville into the pool and James Guy takes over for England. It looks a straight fight at the moment, Molly, between Australia and England for the gold medal.
Absolutely. Australia just slightly ahead, but never discount James Guy. He's such a seasoned professional in these relays, and he again is part of that Team GB gold winning in the 4x2. So he'll have a really strong back end. You'll see him breathing over towards Australia, so he knows where he is in the race. He's just sitting on his hip currently, so expect to see him make a move in the second half of this 200.
450 metres through this race, and it remains Australia who lead by about half a length or so at the moment, half a swimmer's length, with England in lane 3 just behind. Wales remain in 3rd position in lane number 6. They are 4.06 seconds off the lead, the Welsh team at the moment. In the pool for Wales right now is Kieran Bird, but it remains Australia with the lead, though England are gaining on them at the moment. James Guy is really pushing Australia's Edward Somerville, and Guy might well overtake him here. It looks as though England have a narrow lead with 550 metres of this men's 4x200 metre freestyle relay final having taken place, and it is England who have edged ahead.
Absolutely. Great second half here from James Guy, as we thought he would. You can see him breathing every 2 over to Australia, so he knows he's pulling ahead slightly. He's getting a great advantage here. It's Max Litchfield on the anchor leg for England.
Well, the crowd are getting more and more excited here as Litchfield dives into the pool, closely followed by Australia's Kai Taylor. This is going to be a really fascinating sprint finish to the very end here, though it remains England who have a narrow, albeit very narrow, advantage. It is a straight fight, it would seem, between Litchfield of England and Taylor of Australia for the gold medal, with Wales at the moment still in 3rd position in this race. And it's getting closer and closer with every second that goes by here, with Australia looking to gain some more ground, and Litchfield is being made to work very hard as the atmosphere picks up yet again, and they're neck and neck. Taylor looks as though he might have the edge on Litchfield. Australia might have the edge over England here as we go into the final turn, the penultimate turn rather, with 100 metres still to go here, Molly.
Australia looking great, looking really smooth. You can see him breathing over towards Max. He knows he's slightly ahead. Max is more suited to an IM swimmer, so surprised slightly to see him in this final, but he's holding a good strong leg for England, although Australia pulling slightly ahead now.
It is Kai Taylor who has the advantage, and Litchfield is trailing in his wake as we go into the final 50 metres. Can Litchfield give it all that he has got and catch Taylor in Australia? It doesn't look like it here. Australia are a swimmer's length or so ahead. Wales are in 3rd. Australia are surely going clear to win this, with Kai Taylor pounding through the water towards the end, towards that final touch of the wall. This could be close to a games record for Australia. It is 7 minutes 01 9.47 seconds, a games record and a gold medal for Team Australia. England finish second and take the silver. Wales finish third and take the bronze. And this extraordinary run of success in the 2 freestyle relay events continues for Team Australia. Yet another gold for them at this Commonwealth Games.
It just seems to be a theme here, doesn't it? Australia are picking up all the gold medals, but awesome swim for them. They were 3 seconds under the existing games record there, so fantastic last leg there from Australia.
It's a team effort, isn't it? And is that the foundation of a win like that?
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of these swimmers, they won't get to train together on a regular basis. So when they get to come together as a team for pre-camps for events, they'll do a lot of kind of relay practice and learning how everyone swims their 200s, to understand everyone's techniques and their tactics during the race. So yeah, it's a great performance from them. And it's a fairly new team. There's a lot of names in the Australia team that aren't as experienced as we potentially have across England and Wales and Scotland. So very exciting to see where they could go.
And what a swim for Kai Taylor of Australia in that final 200 metres, because he'd been watching on, hadn't he, Molly, for the first 600 metres of that race. He must have been itching to get going, and he seemed to channel it in exactly the right way.
Yeah, it's always tough being that anchor leg. You know, there's a lot of pressure for you to bring it home, and especially with England going in with the lead, Australia knew they had a little bit of work to do, but he handled that so well, executed it perfectly and got the win.
So Wales finish in the bronze medal position, England second and take home the silver, 3.51 seconds behind Australia, who win the gold, and they do it in a games record time as well of 7 minutes, 1.47 seconds. So congratulations to Australia. They take the gold in the men's 4x200 metre freestyle relay final.
Molly and Joe, thank you very much. Terrific work this evening. And just to reiterate, they've broken their own Commonwealth Games record, but they've smashed it. I mean, 3 seconds is huge, isn't it?
3.5 seconds is a lot. A long old way. And you could just see, by the way, that they were clawing it back in that final changeover, and it was just... It was getting faster and faster, it looked like. Of course, they must be so tired as you're going into it. But the Australians, the strength that they show, it's every single swimming event, it seems. You're looking at you going, where's the Australian going to finish? It's I mean, credit to them. They get swimming. They really get swimming.
They do. Terrific swim then from Australia to break a games record. England coming away with the silver. Wales with the bronze too. So a great night all round. And we've been talking about the success of the Australian swimmers, of course, as we heard from reporter from Australian newspaper, Jacqueline Magnay. She was asked the question about, can that success translate into the athletics, which starts tomorrow? This is what she had to say.
Is this so exciting? I mean, the mile. I mean, everyone has to stop and watch that event. Obviously, Josh Kerr, Scottish champion, world record holder. I mean, the noise in the Olympic Stadium was phenomenal. I hadn't heard it so loud since London 2012, maybe even louder. It was incredible. And you've got Cam Myers, a 20-year-old 1,500 metre runner from Canberra, who's really on the up, broken Australian records, and he won the Diamond League in Paris over 1,500 metres, beat Jake Whiteman. So the stage is set. It's a real world-class field, and Josh Kerr's going to have to really be on his toes and have recovered from that world record to be, matching it again. Some people are talking about this. Back in 1954, there was the Miracle Mile where Bannister and Landy, and Steve Monaghetti, a famous marathon runner in Australia, is saying it's almost kind of being set up a little bit for that. We've got one world record holder. Will someone else come and perhaps push someone else to another world record? I mean, it's exciting, isn't it?
Oh, well, we all are intrigued to see how the Commonwealth Mile will get on for Josh Kerr, who'll be running for Scotland, of course, in that. You're not having what she was saying there about the atmosphere, there, are you? The London Stadium in comparison. No, but rightly so, because she said it was similar to London 2012.
Well, she said, if not louder. And I'm just going to say, just from the point of view, we had 20-odd thousand more people in the stadium was bigger, obviously, for the London Games. And obviously, I'm going to be biased. And say, as amazing as what Josh did, and it truly is one of the great performances, the stadium's definitely louder in London.
Especially on Super Saturday.
Well, yeah. So there.
I mean, it'd be fascinating to see how the athletics gets on, really, at these Commonwealth Games. You must be really intrigued with the long jump to come, because that starts early.
It's tomorrow. Yeah. The long jump's a wide open event, actually. It's going to be one of those that would be really interesting to see who, and again, it's, when I say it's wide open, I mean, there's been a big competition actually tonight, none of which of the athletes from the Commonwealth, within the Commonwealth were competing in, and it's, I think, I'll be right in saying, I need to double check this, I haven't had time yet, I think it's the best competition within distances since this millennium, basically.
Oh, really?
So we're talking, I mean, obviously we've been 26 years in, so I'm just trying to talk it up a bit, but seeing there was a few 860 jumps, 50 and down, I mean, like, very, very impressive, and they're 100% now. I've been talking about this a lot. The new tracks that have been built, the new spikes that have been put together, the athletes are really putting it together, and we're seeing these incredible performances, and we will be seeing it here. What's going to be really interesting, obviously, with the stadium for the athletics, I think it's 10,000 capacity. Now, we're talking about, with Josh, the noise of the stadium, and he mentioned after how that pulled him through and how good that felt. It is always interesting with a significantly smaller amount of people how that works, because some athletes genuinely, it's a big stadium with a big crowd that really brings the best performances out of them. Okay. But I can imagine, look, athletics, we're very, very fortunate. The fans for athletics in the UK are some of the best in the world, and they will fill up that stadium every single day. I guarantee it won't be an empty seat unless it's someone official, because they love taking up a few, don't they? But it will be a very, very special event. I'm really looking forward to it. And she was talking about the Australians, obviously, as well there. The pole vault, I think, if you want to watch, first of all, one of the most terrifying and incredible events. If you ever go for a night out with track and field athletes, it's pole vaulters, pole vaulters and high jumpers. But within the pole vault, they've got Curtis Marshall, who the young pole vaulter who's just broken 6 meters for the first time. If you measure that out as well, I mean, how high 6 meters is, that is absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
And Nina Kennedy as well, who was the flag bearer for Team Australia. I think she recently jumped the fifth or sixth highest jump in history of the event. So they might get a 1-2 men's women's pole vault. That'd be something really, really impressive for him. But they've won enough. Hopefully we'll have, especially the home nations will come through.
I mean, you're right to say they've won enough. Absolutely. Pack it in now.
Yes.
But someone, of course, that we won't see at these games is Armand Duplantis, who is the world record holder when it comes to the pole vault. And I was in Paris when he broke it.
As was
that night, which was incredible, especially as all the events had finished, and it was just all about him trying to break that
It's
record.
always all about him, to be honest, in track nowadays. He is the Usain Bolt of track and field.
And you can't blame him for really milking it, because it's just extraordinary what he can do. I mean, he's since broken it a number of times, hasn't he?
I think he's up 6:32 now, I think.
There's something like that.
Yeah.
Which,
well, to put that into perspective, during my time, there was a few that had gone over 6. Sergei Bubka used to hold the world record at, I think, was it 6:18, 6:17, around that. Renaud Lavillenie, the French athlete, broke it, indoors broke. It was one of the first to go, sort of get back over 6:10 again and start looking really, really special. And Renaud was the Olympic champion in 2012. And then Mondo, who has basically broken every world record from about the age of something like under 6. Because his dad Greg was a good name, was also a pole vaulter in his day, and his mum was a great athlete too, a heptathlete. They both trained out in the US, and that's why Mondo's been in the US a lot. But again, sadly, we're talking about it, but sadly he won't be at this because he competes for Sweden.
But just to put it into context, what 6 metre 31-32 is, it's about just over 20 foot, which is basically a 2-story house.
Yeah, and
that's just madness.
This is always the slight issue, I think, with athletics. People, when you watch it in a stadium, you don't truly appreciate what's going on. And then I always try and say things like that. If you look at it, it's basically the height of look at your house, or look at a house and go, there is somebody charging down, holding a fiberglass generally or carbon fiber pole, putting it into a metal box, throwing themselves. So they have a long jump takeoff. So it's really similar in that way. And then the technique as they flex the pole and then use that to throw them out, it is incredible.
Yeah.
Like, it really, really is. So when you put that into perspective, go outside, have a look at it. then you start to realise actually how incredible that is.
Like I said, when I was in Paris, and I know we're getting to a break, but when I was in Paris and he broke that record then, sadly for our talkSPORT commentary, you will forever hear me just screaming in the background because I could not believe what we had just seen that night. It was incredible.
Really was.
More to come. We're going to be speaking to Lewis Richardson in just a moment to reflect upon the boxing, but you're tuning into Commonwealth Games on talkSPORT with BYD. Dare to dream with BYD in the Commonwealth Games.
Jurgen Klopp has today been appointed as the new national team manager. As a Liverpool fan, would you spend the money on Diamonde as a sort of up-and-coming prospect, or would you go for Barcola as the ready-made replacement for Mo Salah?
I'm not sure on Barcola. I'd probably Diamonde. I like him. But it's 110 million quid for potential. When you're paying 110 million quid for potential nowadays, I don't love that. And that's a problem. And that's where the market is, unfortunately. So it's a tough one. Liverpool have to replace Salah. They need wide players. Now they're talking about some player from Monaco who's probably would have been fifth choice at the start of the summer. So Liverpool fans would probably spontaneously combust if that's the only signing that came in those positions. I don't think they'll get Diamonde. I think that's PSG all over. So then you're going to go for Barcola now, who Arsenal want as well. Yeah. And he's a very...
Welcome along to the final part of Commonwealth Games kickoff on talkSPORT. It has been a brilliant day once more on what has been day 3 of these games. We're going to reflect on the boxing in just a moment and look back on an eventful day as well. But just to hear all of the reaction to today's events and a full preview of what's to come on day 4 of the 2026 Commonwealth Games, tune in to talkSPORT Breakfast with Andy Goldstein and Troy Deeney from 6 tomorrow morning. They will have it all for you. As I say, we'll be talking boxing shortly, but before that, Michael Waydock caught up with Team England boxer Ellis Trowbridge, who ensured he'll return to the Glasgow stage once more with victory in the men's 55-kilogram round of 16. The son of Duke Mackenzie is now just one step away from a guaranteed medal.
Yeah, I had to stick to my boxing today, use my skill, use my southpaw ability, use that finesse. That's exactly what I did. Stuck to the game plan. To be honest with you, I wanted to go through the gears, but my coach just said, stay relaxed, just do what you need to do. Pick him up with ones and twos because that's all you need, and don't force it. So, they held me back today, but I think on Tuesday I'm going to need to go through those gears.
Split decision. Did you know you'd won, though?
I think it was a 4-1. I was a little bit confused to hear that, but hey, 4 of them thought that I won, and that's the main thing. We're progressing.
How do you keep the mindset as you go through these rounds?
I think that's just with experience. I've been doing this for years now, so very seasoned, in this amateur game. I understand that there's only 3 rounds and you only need 2 of them to win. So once you're 1-0 up, you're halfway there. It's about getting that next one and then pushing on. And if it comes down to the last round, I know that I've trained immensely hard that I'm going to be able to go through those gears and pull it through. So either way it goes, I'll be ready.
I think I know the answer to this one. One fight at a time is what you're going to tell me, but you're 1 away from a medal.
Listen, 1 fight away from a medal, so that ups the ante now, right? Hey, I'm going to be giving it hard. I'm going to give everything that I've got, because ultimately every day's a final. Today was my final, and my last bout was my final. So like you said, 1 fight at a time, and let's go into it. We'll be ready.
I'll rest up. See you soon.
See you soon, man. Thank you.
Ellis Trowbridge. I said I don't know why I said Trowbridge. I mean, who says that? Trowbridge, of
Nobody
course.
noticed. You're right. Now then.
I noticed it, and it really bugged me. But let's join up with Lewis Richardson, the bronze medalist, of course, at the Commonwealth Games previously, as well as Olympic bronze medalist too. He joins us to look back on the boxing. How are you, Lewis?
I'm good, thank you, Natalie. I didn't notice either, so don't worry.
You're too good. You're too nice. Thank you. Let's talk boxing then, because it has been a pretty good day, hasn't it, for Team England?
Absolutely, another undefeated day. I think that takes us to, I think it's 7 undefeated, but certainly undefeated after day 3. So, yeah, we've had a good few first days, and You know, as the rounds progress, the opponents get tougher and tougher. And Ellis boxed well today. Lauren Mackey boxed well, and then I caught Patrice's bout about an hour ago, and he had a rematch against an opponent from Northern Ireland who I was actually with Patrice 4 years ago in Finland when he had his GB debut 4 years ago, and he boxed against JP Hale, and he lost that night in Finland, but he was able to avenge the loss this evening, and he got the win, which was fantastic to see the development and growth. I mean, you know, Patrice is a little bit younger than me, but to see these boys sort of grow from boys to men is amazing to see, and it was a fantastic performance.
I can well imagine. It's you must have an element of pride when you look on and see what they're all achieving. But just on to Ellis Trowbridge, in that victory that he had, it turned into a 4-0 victory because he had a point deducted. For those that might not understand, what would be the reasons that you might have a point deducted?
A few different reasons. I'm not sure what Ellis's was today, but usually if the head's being brought down too low for your opponent to almost can be seen as sort of that dangerous play. So Ellis's head may be too low. He may have been hitting when the referee was just saying to break. So a few different reasons, but yeah, as I said, I'm not too sure why Ellis's was today. He's not the sort of fighter that doesn't usually get points taken off. So it was quite unusual to see that, but that's why it's a 4-0 decision. I mean. If that point would have got taken off, I'm sure Ellis would have won unanimously 5-0. But yeah, it was still. Well, I had a look at the cards, and it still looked comfortable enough for him.
Yeah, it certainly did. And you mentioned, obviously, Lauren Mackey going through with a straight... Well, it was a narrow win this time around.
For a 3-2 victory against Australia, I believe. And Lauren's another good, a great young fighter. Lauren actually come out to Paris as a sort of like a next generation talent, as a sparring partner for our female who qualified for the Paris Olympics. So Lauren's had great experience in and around those moments, not necessarily on the big stage, but she's able to deliver herself this time.
But that's really interesting. It's something actually we spoke about before when there are certain, obviously, younger talent that clearly have been identified as a future multi-sport event, athlete, for example. They take them out to these games like Paris, perhaps even at the Commonwealth Games right now. There are some who aren't competing, but who are needed to kind of hope that they'll get the feeling, they get the sense of what it's like to be in these huge events.
Absolutely. Well, one, to get the exposure, and two, to hopefully inspire. They're such amazing moments, and they get a little taste of, they get a little bit of the kit, and they get to go into the Olympic Village just for one day. They're on the outskirts as training partners, and I'm sure it did inspire Lauren. And we've got my training partner for the Paris Olympics was Paddy Hewitt, and he's actually making his Commonwealth debut tomorrow, which is super exciting. It really interestingly, he's with his twin brother too, who Will Hewitt, who's out here too, and they both make their Commonwealth debut tomorrow. So I'll be eagerly tuning into that.
Love a bit of sibling rivalry as well. But the interesting thing as well, I've noted that some boxers have started in around a 32, some come in at the round of 16 stage. Explain that to us.
I mean, it just depends on how many boxers are in the weight category. So, for example, say if 20 boxers are in the weight category, that means the majority will get a bye through to the round of 16, but there'll be 8 in that scenario who need to box off to eliminate 4, which takes it down to the round of 16. So these tournaments are a little bit luck of the draw, and you'll hear on commentary sometimes it's not always in your best interest to get a bye, because you can almost become a little bit rusty, and the opponent who's had one bout coming into the next bout, he is a little bit fresh, he's used to the environment and being exposed into the warm-up area, into the ring. That being said, at these majors, I always think the least amount of bouts you have possible is the best route to goal.
Well, that's what we discussed, wasn't it? Because we were sort of saying in these situations, you see it in other sports as well, where you get to miss a round or so. Surely, if you don't have to box someone, that's a massive advantage. They get going against, especially if your opponent who you're facing in the next round has already had to fight.
Yeah, and it's how you look at it two ways, because one is freshness. Okay, so you could argue the opponent that hasn't had to box is fresher. They're one bout less. They haven't had no injuries, no cuts, nothing like that. But then the other one is just that they've got the nerves, they've got the pressure off in the first one, because you'll hear loads and loads of boxers say, "Oh, the first one is always the toughest, getting the first one out of the way, and now I'm into a rhythm." So it can work one of two ways. And with the Commonwealth Games, with the boxing, there's no seeding. So, I mean, unfortunately for Will Hewitt tomorrow, or fortunately, we'll see. He's a great fighter, but you'd argue the top 3 boxers in his weight category drew against each other in the early stages. So the Indian boxer, the Canadian, who arguably two are the best 3, and then Will's up there with them top 3. So the Indian beat the Canadian. Now the Indian must face Will tomorrow, and those guys should all be medaling in that lightweight category. But of course, the cream always rises, and I'm certainly backing Will for tomorrow.
Do you think that needs to change then, that they actually add the seeding in order to give, in a way, boxing fans what they want to see? Want to see these big fights later on in the games?
They do, and I mean, it's really hard for me to say whether it should or not change. But I mean, in the Olympic Games, I wasn't seeded, and there was 8 seeded, and I drew the seed number 6 in the first round, and was able to get the victory against him. Then I believe in my medal winning bout, I boxed an unseeded boxer who had beaten number 1 seed.
Right.
So it just shows although the seedings are there, it can still you're in there with some real top fighters. At these Commonwealth Games, there might be lesser of those upsets, but absolutely there will still be upsets along the way. But yeah, it's really hard, Greg, to say whether it should or should not. Probably for the fans and for the you earn your right to have those seedings. So you could argue yes, potentially, but of course it's still great for you think. As a spectator, you're going into day 1 of competition. You're going on, a couple of days ago, and you've seen potentially one of the best bouts of the tournament. So as a spectator, if you've got tickets for that particular day, you've certainly lucked out.
That is very true. Well, look, we'll see what happens with the Hewitts tomorrow. But as always, Lewis, thank you. We'll chat to you tomorrow.
Thanks, mate.
Look forward to it.
Look forward to that. We'll be chatting then to Lewis Richardson tomorrow, and there'll be plenty more on your radar when it comes to the Commonwealth Games. Regular updates throughout the day, and then we're going to be back on at the same time, 7 till 10, on talkSPORT 2 tomorrow, where we're going to bring you a roundup of all the action from the day, as well as all the action from the evening, with the track and field events getting underway.
The real Commonwealth Games start.
Hey, come on. Sorry, is that Adam Ramsey Peak? No, I'm joking. I am joking. Thank you, Greg. It's been a pleasure as always. And coming up next for you